Okay, testing volume. I think we're good on volume, good on volume. Definitely some interesting things going on in the markets today. A lot of interesting activity on that front. Definitely a lot of exciting things going on with respect to um, where things are going, especially with the semiconductor industry. I mean, we're seeing Micron Technology taking a massive hit, an absolutely massive hit on its stock price today. This is not something that I was expecting, I'll be completely honest. In fact, let me go live here as well. Yeah, so definitely kind of a wild day in the markets today. Um, Pretty insane so far what's happening with Micron Technology. I mean, when you're seeing like a 6.6% decline, we may be beyond the point of just a general sell off and a general correction. This could actually signal a serious pivot and a serious like cyclical pivot, especially for something of this size and especially in the semiconductor space. This is definitely something that a lot of people have paid close attention to, rightfully so. Um, but this is a pretty big correction. This is a pretty big correction. I mean, 6.6% on the day for Micron Technologies. Not a good day to be a shareholder in Micron. There have also been some other big hits. One of my big short positions at the moment is CoreWeave down another 5% today. So this is actually fantastic news for me. Love to see this. This company completely sucks. Hate it. Not good at all. So definitely some exciting news on that front. And then ASTS was another one that I had called and said, listen, this is not worth what it is, and for some reason, a lot of people still seem to believe that this company is worth anywhere north of $100 a share. This business doesn't really have that big of a moat. There's not a whole lot that it does with respect to high quality of earnings at the moment, and an 19% correction in a single day is pretty brutal. However, I don't think it's entirely unwarranted. Um, and it was a little confusing to me why people were so stoked about this company. So this is definitely another one that I'm not going to call victory on yet, but it hasn't been good. Another piece of interesting news is Atai Beckley, ATAI. This is a company that was under in talks with Eli Lilly about being acquired. I believe for about $2 billion, $2.2 billion, and definitely some exciting things going on in that front, providing basically psychedelic treatment for what is now a large pharmaceutical company in the United States. So kind of some exciting stuff on that front as well. Do I think DRAM will go back up? I don't know. We'll see. We may be in the middle of actually a major pivot for memory and semiconductors, especially with Micron and others. Where should I put my buy order for SanDisk? I'd hang out on the sidelines for now, to be honest. Any basis of support for SanDisk and Micron kind of fell through the floor. I haven't looked at any of the moving averages or looked at any of the technical signals, but we may be in the middle of a pivot for a lot of very big names in that space. You're right about CoreWeave, Nike, and Take-Two. Thanks, bro. Absolutely, my man. Absolutely. So definitely some kind of crazy stuff that's going on today. Big corrections in memory. I think SanDisk kind of deserved it. The how poorly Micron is doing today is actually kind of surprising. Seeing it trade well below $900 per share is pretty interesting. There's a lot of definitely thing. I mean, it's kind of hard to read where we'll be in a month from now, especially with today's price discovery. Okay, LO. Um, yeah, it seems okay. To be honest, I'm not super excited about it as a play. It could be good, but we'll see. I'm cooked. I brought the Micron dip just before, and it kept dip. I bought the Micron dip, and it kept dipping. Well, I would say that if you're a Micron shareholder, or if you got in at Micron, say within the last week, Obviously, you haven't had a great week. Or if you bought it somewhere around $900 a share, obviously it's not off to a good start. The one thing I will say about Micron, though, is the fundamentals are there. Whereas a lot of these stocks that are having big corrections today, like ASTS, Nebius, Rocket Lab, these types of names, the fundamentals are not there for some of them. So I think patience is the name of the game for Micron. But one thing I did not expect to see was this large of a correction for something like Micron. Applied Materials or LRCX, my semiconductor stocks are cooked. Yeah, I mean, I'm an Applied Materials shareholder. I'm feeling it too. Don't worry. Will Micron go back up? We'll see. But I'm not. We'll see. We'll see. There's definitely some reasons to still like Micron, but today's just one of those days where it's not good. Just not good at all. I can certainly understand why people are kind of freaking out, especially if they got into Micron within the last week. What about Nebius? Nebius is one of those names that's I just said that Micron, the good news with Micron is the fundamentals are there. With Nebius, they're not as strong. The fundamentals are not as strong. The stock was and still is overvalued. And it's moving in the right direction. And I don't think that there's a very strong bull case for someone like Nebius at this price. Just buy and hold Micron, hit 2K within 8 months. Bold call, Brock, but maybe. Maybe. What about ASTS? ASTS is getting the treatment it deserves. There's no moat in that business. It was massively overvalued. The contracts that it supposedly won, until the money's wired, I don't think there's anything to celebrate about them. What fundamentals are there? Matthias, it depends on what company you're talking about. For Micron, I think the fundamentals are there. IREN, how is IREN doing today? Yeah, another rough day. Doesn't surprise me. I think it's getting close to fair valuation, but still a little bit too expensive. So nothing to write home about still at this price, to be honest. I'm not super excited at this price. Plan on buying soon? Okay. And I bet Marvel's probably not having a good day either, because I know some people have been asking about that. Marvel Technology. Oh, yeah, brutal. I can't, with respect to Marvel Technology, the valuation was definitely inflated. It's still even more so inflated than something like SanDisk at the moment. And the fundamentals aren't quite as strong as Micron's, I think. So this big of a correction, while it is big, it's not as surprising as big as Micron's correction is. So definitely a strange place to be. We actually, and like I said, we may be in the pivot. What's up with the red after 12 p.m.? Honestly, I don't know. I think this is a bug with Yahoo Finance right there. I think it's just a bug on the chart. IBM at this price? Yorn, I don't know. I don't know. Jack on YouTube says, what's up? Andrew came over from TikTok a few weeks ago. What's up, Jack? Welcome to the stream, man. Welcome to the stream. IBM at this price, it has the fundamentals. Does it? I mean, the one thing, here's the thing. Was this 25% correction earlier this week warranted with IBM? I mean, that was the worst day in its trading day ever. Probably not. However, there are some weaknesses within IBM's business, and I think a lot of its valuation was being floated on how it's essentially the leader in the quantum space in many ways. With that being said, is it a buy at the moment? This is a tricky one because it requires a very close examination of the fundamentals with IBM. There are lots of things to like about IBM, like a decent PE at the moment and a low beta, means low cost of capital for any potential acquisitions or CapEx investments the company needs to make, whether it's raising debt or equity. We'll see. But it requires a very close look at the fundamentals, I think. And you can probably write a pretty strong bull thesis for IBM. What about DRAM? Why is it dropping so bad? Well, like with all of memory is suffering today. So DRAM probably has big holdings in SanDisk. It probably has big holdings in like Western Digital, these types. And, you know, it's not surprising to see it down 8.5% today. Why is Microsoft up but Micron down? Because Microsoft isn't in the same business as Micron is. I was told Nebius would 10x, no drawdown, and it's down. Yeah, you listened to the wrong influencer here on TikTok. There were all kinds of like investing gurus who are saying that Nebius is great, Nebius is awesome. I've been pretty vocal about the fact that Nebius was overvalued. It has been overvalued. It can reach a point where it does make sense to buy it. This is still expensive. This is still expensive. I mean, I didn't get the hype around this. I get what they're trying to do as a company, but you know, it was overhyped by the market. And those are that's the time when you sit on the sidelines and you don't fall for it. What price would be a good entry for Nebius? It's a good question. I don't have a price in mind off the top of my head. I'd have to think about it. But significantly lower than it is now. Yeah, I mean, I would really have to think about that and do some modeling work on it to get an idea. Can we do a long form video on IBM? Yeah, maybe, Jorn. Tomorrow I'm gonna release my video on I'm going to release my long form content deep dive on Elf Cosmetics. That's the company that bought Hailey Bieber's cosmetic brand last year. That's a pretty interesting story with them. And an interesting valuation as well. It's crazy how you refuse to give a concrete opinion on anything. What do you mean, Rex? Like what? Opinion on Klarna. Okay, Klarna. Yeah. There is a bull case for Klarna, I think. As far as what they can do as far as what's going to move the stock price, I think honestly it's going to be some type of macro factor. We'll see though. Probably interest rates, I think, are what's going to be the main reason why the stock price moves. Are you still holding Applied Materials or do you sell? I'm still holding on to it. I'm still hanging on to it. I got into Applied Materials a very long time ago, though. Like a decade ago. So even if Applied Materials continues to correct, I'll still probably be up on it. Still like it. Still hanging on. If you believe Nebius is overvalued, that means you have a price target in mind. Not necessarily. I don't have to have a price target in mind if I think something's overvalued. It's like, I mean, would you go, like, if you go to a garage sale and say someone's trying to, pay or ask $50 for a pair of sneakers that you know is worth way less, but you're not sure exactly what the price is off the top of your head, I think that's not an unreasonable conclusion. Opinions on Rocket Lab? I think that Rocket Lab, there's a strong bull case for Rocket Lab. I think what they're doing is interesting. Obviously, they're getting beaten up pretty bad today. However, I mean, they're still not profitable, and they still have, there's still SpaceX in the background to worry about. So there could be something here with Rocket Lab. I'd have to take a really close look at the fundamentals, though, to see, and I'd have to have really high conviction on a company like this in order to buy stock in it. So there's things to like about Rocket Lab, I think, but you'd have to have pretty high conviction, and you probably have to hold on to it for a while. Thoughts on ASTS? Completely overvalued. It's getting the treatment it deserves. This is a business that didn't have any moat at all. The play here is not that exciting, and there's competition that's ahead of them. I mean, the $1 billion convertible note offering, that's just that's a red flag. If they want to offer a convertible note, it's basically that they probably couldn't get equity raised because it's a risky play. So they had to raise debt, which means that any other equity investors are basically pushed further down into the line if things go really bad and they go bankrupt. Yeah, I mean, ASTS, I don't get. I don't get I still wouldn't get the bull hype around it and why people like it. How low do I think Micron could go? Micron is an interesting one. I mean, how low could it go? This is tough to say because we were looking at support for the price at around 900 a share, and now we're below that. So the floor's kind of fallen out from under our feet on this a little bit. I could see it going below 800. If it goes below 800, I think like 790 a share is probably the next support level though. But here's the thing: it's hard to say. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough to read whether or not this is an actual shift or a pivot from memory and semiconductors, or if this is continued correction. This feels like it could actually be a pivot, a real pivot. We'll see though. Thoughts on Palantir? Been holding from 126. Here's the thing. Palantir is a great business. What Palantir has done, especially in the last couple of years with respect to growth, has been extremely impressive. They have the contracts that they've secured has been awesome. Their growing revenue streams from the commercial sector as opposed to the public sector is very encouraging. That's good news. They also have very fantastic margins that are growing. The things I don't like about Palantir are its leadership, and its valuation is still extremely high. This isn't necessarily the company's fault. The market's just hyping it up too much, I think. You're going to be paying 148 times earnings for this. And I did a 30-minute deep dive into Palantir, and the thing is that even if Palantir had 30% year-over-year growth in free cash flow by 2032, it still wouldn't justify this price. To be honest, I think Palantir's actual worth is somewhere around $50 a share at the moment. It's too high. It's just too high. However, it could experience very, very strong growth in the next couple of years, which would boost my target price for it. So that could change over time. I'll come back when I make 100% return on ASTS. Hey, listen, I will absolutely. If I'm wrong, yeah, I'll own my words. I'll own my position. But making 100% return on ASTS, it's not looking good so far. I could be wrong in the future though. I'm not going to say that I'm always right. What price would you enter Reddit? Just joined if you covered it already. My target price on Reddit's about $230 a share. I also did a deep dive on Reddit. I do like Reddit. Still bullish on it. Still like it. It's approaching the point of fair valuation though. We'll see how things continue to go. Obviously today's not the best of days, but over the past couple of weeks, it's actually been quite good. Here's basically the last month of Reddit. I still think it's a buy at this price. Nebius, yeah, too expensive. What about Meta? I bought it $125 a share in 2022, and last year hasn't been ideal. Well, you're probably still very happy as a shareholder of Meta at $125 a share. That's pretty dang good. And there's a lot to be happy about, I would say, if you got in at Meta at $125 a share just back in 2022. That's really solid. Why do I think it's a buy? Are you talking about Reddit, JB? Tesla, I imagine you've gone over it. What's your target? Bobby, I don't get into automotives, let alone Tesla. I don't invest in automotive companies. And if I had to choose an investment in automotive companies, Tesla would probably be at the back of the line, massively overvalued. The reason why I like Reddit, JB, is because the company's year-over-year revenue growth has been extremely good, and they're starting to expand a new line of business. I mean, Reddit is effectively just an advertising engine. That's how they make most of their money. But now they're doing content licensing to help train AI models, and that could be extremely profitable. And I think that actually gives them an edge over another social media company like Meta, because Reddit users are anonymous. And because you're anonymous, the interactions are more authentic. So just better. SpaceX fair value, probably less than $100 a share if I'm being honest. Any new insight on info and insight on Rheinmetall? Not yet, Olaf. We're still working on that. Still working on it. Lam Research. I like Lam. I own shares in Lam's biggest competitor, but still a solid company. What do you think about Rocket Lab? Again, Rocket Lab. It probably needed this correction. I can see why there's a bull case for Rocket Lab, but I still, to be honest, I'm still probably wouldn't buy at this price. Oracle, I'm not. Oracle is probably the worst positioned hyperscaler with the weakest fundamentals out of all of them. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather buy shares in something like Amazon as opposed to Oracle. I think there's a lot more to like about Amazon or Meta or Microsoft compared to Oracle. How about Atlassian? Yeah, Atlassian. Definitely an interesting idea. In fact, you know what? Let's actually look at their recent financials just to get an idea what their performance has been like over the last couple of years. Not great. Unprofitable in 23, 24, and 25, losing a bit of money on a quarterly basis. It's close. They lost $98 million in the first quarter of 2026. Their balance sheet health has gotten worse. That might not necessarily be because, that could be some, it looks like that's cash outflows for the most part, just because we have a pretty big financing outflow of $1 billion. I don't know if that was buybacks or something. There could be a bull case for Atlassian. But to be honest, I think that there's like if you want to get into software, I think ServiceNow might be a better play. I'd be happier owning stock in ServiceNow or even Salesforce as opposed to Atlassian. CoreWeave. CoreWeave's my biggest short at the moment. This is a company that is getting the treatment it deserves, but it's not nearly bad enough for CoreWeave. It needs to be worse than this. I shorted CoreWeave yet at like $92 a share, $95 a share, $100, $102 a share. This company is worth $20 a share. This is a complete dog poo business. Not good. Massively short on this business. CoreWeave, and for anybody who's still bullish on CoreWeave, it would be hilarious to learn what their real argument is, because the fundamentals for this company suck. Absolutely suck. Applied Digital, I don't like how fast they're losing money. APLD, they're losing money much faster than they're making it. And in today's market, they should be making money. Oh, man. Oof, that's rough. Down 10%. The thing is with these big corrections today, one thing I think would serve somebody well, or serve a prudent investor well, is really doing their research and fundamentals on what could be good entry points for some of these companies. Like companies like Micron, companies like SanDisk, these types. So there are some things to like about some of these, but we'll see. Nebius overvalued. NBIS overvalued. Intel's got a long way to go. In fact, how is Intel doing today? The whole idea of turning around the foundry business of Intel, that's going to take years. I was a shareholder of Intel. I got out at about $128 a share. Yeah, it's going to be a while. I mean, obviously, I rode the wave as soon as the government announced that they, were backing Intel and that they took a 10% stake in it, and there was going to be a good big turnaround, and basically a come from behind and win type of story. It's going to be a pretty long race. The light's at the end of the tunnel for Intel, but it's a long road ahead of it. There could be a good long-term bull case for Intel, but to be honest, I'm going to still wait until I see progress on the foundry news. I mean, their new Albany plant in Ohio and that facility is years behind schedule. It's going to take a long time. IREN's moving in the right direction. Anybody who invested in IREN at more than it is now, I mean, I feel sorry for you, but the writing was on the wall, especially when it was trading for more than $50 a share. Like I don't like at around this point, back at the beginning of June, and towards the middle of June, like when it was right around here, I was like, what? No, very expensive. They're making the right pivot, but it's a crowded space, and they got hyped up a lot by the market. What's going on with Western Digital? Do you think it could recover from its maximums? Yeah, I do. The question is whether or not we're in a, like, when SanDisk and when Micron went from $1,200 to $1,000 a share, I was like, yeah, this is a correction that was probably needed. When SanDisk came down from $2,300 a share to below $2,000, I was like, yeah, that's probably needed. We're kind of past that point now, and to a point where any supports that existed kind of look like they might be gone. So the question is this an actual real fundamental shift of what's going on in memory and semiconductors at the moment? Or is there still strong bull cases to be made? I think there are still strong bull cases to be made, but I also think that there is some fat getting cut off the steak in a lot of cases, especially companies like, to be honest, like SanDisk and Marvell. There was some fat that needed to come off the steak. Fundamentals could still be there, and you can make a case for strong fundamentals, but things are definitely coming back to earth for sure. What about SoFi? SoFi is kind of a boring story, to be honest. I'm not that super excited about SoFi. Can we look at ASTS? We did, White Tea, and ASTS, it's getting the treatment it deserves. I didn't like ASTS before. I still don't like it now. ASTS has no moat. Zero moat. And despite the fact that, they won a couple contracts, they just had to raise $1 billion in convertible notes. That's probably floating rate too, by the way. So have fun with that. SoFi reminds me of PayPal. That's actually a really interesting comment, because I can certainly see that. And with PayPal looking like it's going to get acquired by that private equity firm and by Stripe, and the tender offer for PayPal was $60 a share, a little over $60 a share. Still less. It's still trading for less than that. Obviously, there's still rumors. And, I haven't seen anything showing up as far as like actual hard binding offers yet regarding this, but some interesting news on the PayPal front. Definitely some interesting news on the PayPal front. Lots of things to like. Isaac, appreciate it, man. Thank you. How about IBM? Are you bullish on it? No, but I need to learn a little bit more. I need to do more homework on IBM. There's more. There's definitely some things to like about IBM. Did the market overreact earlier this week? Probably. But is IBM in big trouble long term? Probably not. So it could be a good time to get into IBM, but I definitely need to do more homework. Entry for PayPal. Tough to say because we don't have a binding offer yet for PayPal. I mean, the tender offer was for $60 a share, so maybe now. What about IREN? It's getting the treatment it deserves. This is not the IREN was overvalued. It still is slightly overvalued. And honestly, I could see it correcting even more, but that's just my opinion. You see, the Eli Lilly acquisition might be a good buy. Yeah, so I did. That's why Eli Lilly was my favorite. I think the ATAI acquisition, I think it's $2.6 billion in cash and stock that they offer to buy ATAI. That was for AtaiBeckley. What are they up? Yeah, they're up 33% today. Exciting stuff, especially if you're a shareholder for Atai. As far as what the actual terms of the deal are, I mean, I've heard it's a cash and stock blend for around $2 billion, a little bit more, but we'll see. What do you think about Stripe wanting to acquire for PayPal for $53 billion? It's an interesting play. It's an interesting play. Accenture, I think management consulting's cooked, to be honest. Accenture's a value trap, 100%. Yeah, no, this is a company I think long term is not, the prospects aren't great. I think this is a value trap. I mean, it's trading at what? Yeah, 11.5 times earnings. Nothing to be super psyched about. Only safe bets seem like the Mag 7. Can totally understand that. Can totally understand that. Ouster, Isaac, do you have a ticker for them? Will it relief over the weekend or more downside? Honestly, I think it's a coin flip. We could see some relief, though. I think companies like IBM will see a little bit of relief on. Things will probably calm down in the semiconductor space, but I think Meta might correct a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's had some pretty solid movement in the past month, but we'll see. We'll see. There's definitely still reasons to like Meta, though, for sure. Visa, kind of boring. Solid blue chip to hold, though. Trump's speech tonight may move markets. That's certainly true. He does like to announce big things and like to be the bearer of big news. That's for sure. So that's probably worth paying attention to. Berkshire Hathaway B. Yeah. The problem I have with Berkshire Hathaway is that Greg Abel is sitting on $330 billion in cash and not using it. Now, I get, Warren Buffett and Berkshire. I get that, Warren Buffett has alluded to the fact that everyone's gambling. This is not a good market. There's no good value to be found. With $330 billion in dry powder, though, you could probably put something to work and find value even in today's, pretty insane market. It is trading at a low multiple, though. I mean, if you wanted an exposure into insurance and this kind of thing, Berkshire Hathaway wouldn't be a bad idea. It's almost an ETF at this point. In many ways, it is. Just of how much stuff they hold. Is Warren Buffett trustworthy for you? To be honest, yeah. I mean, Warren Buffett's widely regarded as the greatest investor of all time. And he has some very, very good investing advice, or the way he approaches things is interesting. Some things I disagree with him on, but all right, look at Ouster. Ouster Inc. Okay, small cap play. Who are these guys? What do they do? LiDAR sensor kits. Okay, cool. For automotive, that kind of stuff. Okay, are they making money? Let's go look on Barron's here. Obviously, they're not having a great day. They got a pretty high beta, 2.3. That's a little concerning. Income and revenue are moving in the right directions, though. Balance sheet doesn't look bad. They probably had to raise a bunch of cash, hence this down here. What does it look like from a quarterly perspective? Q1 wasn't great. Profitability got worse and revenue came down. $381 million in assets. So when you got $381 million in assets and you have, what is it? Just about a $2 billion market cap, $2.4 billion market cap. The thing that I want to pay attention to, or the thing that I really, really want to get in, most of this is probably intangibles, like IP and intangibles. So you got to get an idea of, whether or not it's how they value it. So what sort of valuation method that they use for their intangibles and what the useful life of them are. If it's longer useful life, that's better news than shorter. And it looks like they had some investing inflows. Interesting. They may have sold some stuff off. Um, as far as the LiDAR sensor thing, it could be cool. They maybe have a nice niche for themselves. So yeah, I mean, I'll add it to a list and take a look at it. There certainly could be a bull case to be made. Could be a little bit of a long shot, but you can make a bull case. Last time I was in here, we sold spoke about Cat at 950ish, sold at 1,050, 400% gain. Appreciate it. No problem, Jake. Absolutely, man. All the good news about Keel in a bomb last few days and it bombs. Any thoughts? Usually when companies deliver good news and the market sells off, that's when I like to buy, to be honest. Because if things don't meet analysts' like the market gets stuff wrong all the time, every day. ServiceNow, what is ServiceNow trading at? My target price for ServiceNow is about $90 a share, so I wouldn't get in at this point. But it's close to fair valuation. It's a decent SaaS company, and they've survived the SaaS apocalypse. In fact, I think they're thriving in the SaaS apocalypse. There's reasons why to like them. Isaac, appreciate it, man. I'm in at 93. Yeah, so with ServiceNow, they've done a really good job of integrating AI agents into their business and basically adapting to AI. They've done a better job of it than Salesforce has, that's for sure. The thing that makes me a little bit concerned about ServiceNow is what their growth projections look like. They seem a little rosy. So that's why my target price is a little bit lower than what the market has it at the moment. SK Hynix, I mean, it certainly made waves when it listed last Friday. There's things to like about it. Is Intuit still solid SaaS and downtime being a big moat before AI? Intuit's an interesting one. I mean, I've got a lot of things that I'm working on at the moment. Intuit seems like it's been overlooked for a long time. They have an incredibly good staying power in some of what they sell and some of the products and services that they have. The fundamentals seem like they're there for Intuit. The long-term bull case, I'd need to take a look at it. It could be a good entry even now for Intuit, to be honest. There are things to like about it, that's for sure. What are your thoughts on the future of memory, Micron, SK Hynix, SanDisk? The ones who have the strongest fundamentals are going to survive any type of shift or continued downturn that we see. They're going to be winners and losers in memory and semiconductors, and the ones with the best fundamentals are going to survive and thrive, and the ones who had the most fluff and were the most overhyped by the market are going to suffer the most. Samsung's considered a memory company too, right? I guess. I mean, mostly it's consumer electronics and consumer goods, to my knowledge at least. Why is AMD down? Just because memory and semiconductors are down today, suffering today. With AMD, what's interesting to me is that people decide to buy stock in AMD when they can just buy stock in NVIDIA. Personally, in my view, I don't see any reason to buy stock in AMD when you can buy stock in NVIDIA. NVIDIA is just a stronger business. It's had better performance, better earnings, better cash flow, more market share, better valuation, arguably better leadership. AMD, it's just overvalued. Why would I pay 165 times earnings for a business when I can go pay, I think NVIDIA's like, what, 25? Like, what? It's kind of silly to me. AMD's about 32. Okay, so not quite 25. Don't buy IREN? That's right, don't buy it. I'm not buying it at this point. EOSC, is this another penny stock play? EOS Energy Enterprises. Borderline microcap. Okay, what's cool about these guys? Energy storage, utility, microgrid, commercial, industrial applications. Zinth Technology Battery Energy Storage System Z3 Battery Module. They're probably losing a lot of money. It's just a question of how much. Yeah, $6.37 per share in the red. What was their ticker again? USE. Quick glance at the fundamentals. Yeah, ugly. Pretty ugly. This is yeah, a hard pass. A hard pass. Okay, so they needed to raise 700 and they needed to raise equity. They probably ran out of cash or were running out of cash. They're carrying forward a massive deficit over a period of years, which is not good. Yeah, and then the reason why they're profitable is they probably sold off some assets. Nope, hard pass. Don't like it. Apple did super good today, made $500. I am an Apple shareholder. How are they doing? Nice. Yeah, I mean, Apple's one that I'm probably never going to sell. I'm always going to own shares in this company. Always have, probably always will. Bought Visa at the end of 2021. Might have held on to it for too long. Visa's not. It's a solid. You get solid blue chip growth with it. You get a nice little yield with it. I mean, it's not that exciting though. Honestly, kind of boring. It's a mature company. Definitely has a lot of very strong aspects about it. It's got a very strong piece of the market. I mean, it's got big competitors and that kind of thing, but it's not exciting. It's just not that exciting. Value with Qualcomm, potentially. Tesla, yeah. No, Tesla, no. I don't buy automotives. Don't buy automotives, whether it's Tesla, Ford, Rivian, General Motors, none of them. DRAM ETF, probably more pain coming. We'll see though. ASTS, a moteless, all hype, like mostly fluff. There's no moat, mostly fluff, incredibly overhyped. Yeah, don't get it. Still don't, probably won't ever get the bull thesis behind this company. It just doesn't make sense to me. And it's getting the treatment I think it deserves. Tesla will return to a software subscription model. Yeah, and apparently they're supposed to make humanoid robots. So, cool. AAOI and LITE too late. Yeah, the optical game. I mean, a lot of the valuation of these companies right now are contingent upon memory, just because of the capabilities that they bring to the table when it comes to data center development. They're probably going to suffer as well. There probably are some solid picks, but I think for the most part, corrections were probably due for these guys. I mean, AAOI with a 3.7 beta. That means their cost of capital is pretty high. I think they have okay fundamentals. I think it's been a minute since I've looked at these guys. Yeah, I mean they're okay. From a quarterly perspective, things aren't terrible. The debt to asset ratio is shrinking, which is good. They're probably it looks like they've probably been issuing shares or raising debt. So if they've been issuing shares, then you're getting diluted, and if they're raising debt, then it just depends on what the terms are and rates are on that debt. So is it too late? Maybe not, but it definitely requires a close look at the fundamentals and what the prospects are. Nick, appreciate it, man. Thank you. Would LIT be a better play? Hard to say, Jake. I need to learn more about both. It's hard to say. AST is tanking because of $1 billion convertible senior note news mixed with overall panic sell. Well, I mean, when you need to put in, when you need to raise $1 billion through a convertible note and you can't do it through your own equity, that's a little, like, that says something about what investors think of the business, right? Because in theory, hopefully, I mean, you're going to go or you could just go with whatever the cheaper option is as far as raising capital is concerned. A convertible note could be a good way to go about doing that. The terms of what that convertible note are, I'm not 100% sure. You know, what the strike is for the holders of it, as well as what the rate is. But as a business, I mean, it's moatless. There's no serious competitive advantage I see with this company compared to others. Just, it's not ideal. And so, thoughts on Rocket Lab? I can see the bull thesis for Rocket Lab with the space sector in general. Long term, very long term, I am bullish. For now, it's kind of hard to see the forest through the trees just because there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise and just a little bit of signal when it comes to the space industry at the moment. All right, Marcus has been asking about IBRX. This yeah. Okay, small cap biotech play, I guess, right? Developing commercializing next generation of immunotherapies divine. Okay. Drug protection against cancer and infectious diseases. So these healthcare plays like this, these are tough. These are tough because the actual science behind this stuff and how that applies to how that basically creates a good business is very difficult to. It requires a lot of homework and very, very, very good inside knowledge as to how all of this stuff works and who the exact market is and how they produce their product or service. So typically I avoid things that I don't have. If I have a weak grasp on what exactly they sell or how they produce what they sell, I typically avoid it. It could be a good company though, but I would need to do like a couple of weeks of homework on this and like really understand what it is they're after, the science behind what they're doing, all that kind of stuff. The fundamentals don't look good though. Ondis is what they're doing is fun. I need them to win a major defense contract for me to take them seriously, to be honest. SoFi. I'm sure there are things to like about SoFi. It feels expensive for me at the moment. I kind of had the same sentiment about Robinhood too, to be honest. I can kind of see SoFi sitting here at around the $15 to $20 range for a while. How have they done year to date? Yeah, I mean, it's not like hasn't been a great year, and there hasn't been a ton of movement, honestly, since February, March. IREN, not a fan of it. Don't like IREN. Affiliated Managers Group. Who's this? Is this like some holding company? Investment management company providing investment management service to mutual funds. Okay. Okay, cool. So they got some mutual funds, investment services. Interesting. My guess, so they're trading at, what is it? Around 15x earnings. They've got a 4-cent dividend. That's hilarious. 1 basis point yield. That's actually kind of funny right there. So like you'll see like companies that have really big revenue and a lot of like a low PE, like this kind of it reminds me of life insurance. Obviously it's not exactly the same, and obviously there are differences that need to be looked at. Could be an interesting play. I feel like a 15 PE is there for a reason though, and it may have been there for a while, despite the fact that it's had a pretty good year. There could be things to like about this though. Yeah, I mean, I'll add it to a watch list. Nike today. Yeah, I think Nike finally had a turnaround. Yeah, nice. Good. For anybody who's new here, I'm bullish on Nike. My price target for Nike is $57 a share. The whole thesis on them is on my YouTube channel. I think there are things to like about Nike. I think it's going to take them a little bit of time to turn things around, but they're moving in the right direction. And I think a global apparel brand with as much market penetration and power as they do, is worth more than 21 times earnings. And I like their leadership too. They're doing the right stuff. Bloom Energy dropping like a rock. Yeah, I think it's too late. The gravy train left the station a while ago with Bloom. Oh man, that is a brutal day for them though. Rough. What do I make of SpaceX? Still too expensive. They finally dropped below their IPO price. It's probably worth less than $100 a share. There's still a lot more room to correct with SpaceX. Like anybody saying, oh, it's below its IPO price. Now there'll be support at this point. To be honest, no, I don't. Absolutely not. There's still more room to correct with SpaceX. Thoughts on FLNC? Been asking. Yeah, sure. Fluence Energy. A lot of energy plays you guys are curious about. Okay, so these guys like natural gas, nuclear, solar, energy storage with integrated hardware, software, digital intelligence include GridStack Pro, large-scale front-of-meter application, GridStack UltraStack, critical system requirements for distribution transmission, SmartStack. Serves independent power producers, developers, conglomerates, utility load-serving entities. Okay, cool. How do the fundamentals look? They're down 8% today. Yeah, I mean, this seems to make sense. A lot of things related to memory and semiconductors are not having a great day. Okay. Quarterly perspective. Okay, this might be seasonal revenue right here. They're close to profitability, very close. So they probably raised some cash last year. And how long have they been around for? Since 2018. Okay, I mean there could be a bull case here. It would require an understanding of what their niche is, and who their customers are. Companies that have been around for 10 years and are just like starting to reach the point of profitability. I mean, they got like 1,600 employees. There's probably some things to like about this. Their quality of earnings is the real key, though, and what that's going to look like moving forward. Bloom is supposedly the NVIDIA's fuel cell energy. I've heard that, and people have been telling me that, and people told me that when it was trading at $300 a share. Thoughts on Micron? Too much competition? Below $890 a share, I'd be surprised. And honestly, this is a little bit surprising, even for Micron. Okay, NLST. And I'm going to get to these requests, guys. I'm trying. Okay, so some microcap play. All right. Memory subsystems, high performance computing. Okay, so it resells component products including solid state drives, dynamic RAM, NAND flash. Probably bad fundamentals. They've been around for what, 26 years? Yeah, it's over the counter. So is there any good information on this? Okay. Yeah, I mean, they haven't been making money for a while, and now basically their debts exceed their assets. That's not good. Liabilities exceed that too. I mean, probably not. Bad fundamentals. Samsung, Micron, and Google are using their proprietary technology. Okay. Without permission? Well, they should file a lawsuit then. When would I buy Netflix? To be honest, I've liked Netflix at this price. I'm surprised it's not higher. I was expecting to see Netflix somewhere around $90 a share by this point. Things have kind of been stagnant with Netflix. Even now, there could still be a very strong case to be made for Netflix. I mean, at this price, it's been at this price for a minute. And there are still some things to like, lots of things to like about Netflix. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. when are their earnings? I'd have to check and see when their earnings are to see how things are going on that front. But we'll see. Maybe there could be things to liken out, but Netflix. There are, excuse me. The bull case definitely requires some more homework on my front, though. What's your biggest bull case for the second half of the year? Probably Take-Two Interactive. These guys. Please look at FTAI. I've been asking about 30 minutes. Okay. Oh, this is this AI aviation company that's basically turning avionics into AI, right? Yeah, acquires, owns, and sells aviation equipment for transportation of goods, people worldwide. Aviation leasing and aerospace. Oh, okay. Do they own aircraft? Owned and managed 290 aviation assets, including 47 commercial aircraft and 243 engines. Oh, interesting. And they've got 8 planes and 17 engines stuck in Russia. And they've got aerospace products. Okay, so they refurbish aircraft engines. This is an interesting business. A good friend of mine is in the capital markets for this in the aircraft leasing business. Could be an interesting play here. Things might be priced in, but it would require some more due diligence on my part, especially with the fundamentals to see if it's good. Could be okay. I mean, I'll add it to my watch list. There's probably more things to be excited about, though, if I'm being honest. Yeah, the fundamentals seem all right. It's a major CapEx expenses. 2025, they had nearly a 20% net margin, half $500 million in net income. Seems to be consistent and steady. So I would need to look at their balance sheet and see what the plan is with that. Bro, Intel is looking good. No, it's not. No, it's not. Intel is not looking good at this price. It has not been looking good over the last month, and I see more room to correct for Intel. I'm not excited about Intel at this price. It's going to take Intel years to reach profitability again. People got way too excited about Intel way too fast. No, I do not like Intel. And I'm glad I got out of Intel at like 128 a share. What about Micron? Micron definitely, the fundamentals are there for Micron. It's correcting more than I thought it would. Could it rebound? It absolutely could. It's probably going to take some time, though. Marvel Technology is too expensive. Too expensive for Marvel. CrowdStrike. Do we have a... yeah, here's the ticker for CrowdStrike. So the last big thing to remember about CrowdStrike was that big thing that happened with Microsoft a couple of years ago that basically shut down the entire air traffic system in the U.S. For a couple of days. That was a nightmare because I was caught in that. There's probably some really cool things to like about CrowdStrike. And, of course, they've made their adoptions and their adjustments to AI, and there's probably a ton of things to like about CrowdStrike in that sense. We'll see, though, as far as if it's investable. SaaS companies that do this, I like more than ones that don't. For example, ServiceNow versus Salesforce. But we'll see. I think they have pretty low margins, and for even for a SaaS company, which is kind of, yeah. I mean, they're not really profitable. And Q2, I mean, they made $27 million, $28 million on $1.4 billion in revenue. Something's wrong. So something like this. So this is a back end issue with the business. They need to fix something with the company. They're either paying too much for something, or they may have some very, very large non-cash expenses for accounting purposes, perhaps. we'll see. Looks like some CapEx investments were made, very large outflows from investing activities and some outflows for financing. My guess is that's CapEx. Maybe they bought a company and some buybacks too. So, yeah. Uber, I know Nancy Pelosi bought Uber, and that got a lot of people's eyes on it. How is Uber doing today? Okay, they're up 1%, and we'll go back to Yahoo here. Yeah, I mean, there's things to like about Uber. It's not that exciting of a story. There's other things to be more excited about, to be honest. Its valuation it could be an interesting valuation, though, for people who are super familiar on it. Opinion on oil for the next couple of days. That's anybody's guess, man. That's anybody's guess. Oil is, obviously, with what's going on in the Middle East, there's a lot of things that'll have a lot of people curious about where the price of oil is going to go. Thoughts on Oracle? Price is looking attractive. Oracle's my least favorite hyperscaler. If I'm gonna buy stock in a hyperscaler, I'd rather get it in Meta or Microsoft or Amazon or Google. Thoughts on Kiokia? Last time I looked, overvalued, to be honest. Bloom Energy, honestly, Harrison, I think it's too late. The gravy train left the station for Bloom Energy. It's going to take a while. Alphabet. Yeah, where is Alphabet today? 360, down a little bit. To be honest, I like this valuation. I think there's a lot of things to like about Google at this price. There's a ton of things to like about Alphabet at this price. The same can be said for Amazon. The same can be said for Microsoft as well. Up 60% on Bloom. I'm just hoping it goes ATH again. We'll see. Unlikely, but I could be wrong. Yeah, United Healthcare. I knew they nailed it with earnings. I think they were up around 4% at the peak today. Listen, the thing about large healthcare companies like this is that they typically have a low beta, they have a decent growth rate, and they have a nice little dividend. What I really like about United Healthcare is they have a 2.2% yield. That's pretty good for a blue chip of this size. Its valuation is reasonable, and it has a low beta. I mean, there's things to like about this. For those who aren't willing to take very large risks, this could be it could be a good one. I haven't seen or read the transcript on the Q2 earnings, but there could be things to like about it for sure. Thoughts on ETF when other underlying bonds? Fed rate is up, which make up this type of ETF interesting. Bond ETFs are boring. Very boring. MicroStrategy. MSTR, right? Strategy Inc. Is this who we're talking about? These guys, right? MicroStrategy is a house of cards. Yeah. This business is hilarious. Michael Saylor completely oversold the idea of basically trying to buy the world's Bitcoin. Yeah, no, this is like, it's like, here's like this essentially this insight. Strategy Inc. remains stable despite Bitcoin's volatility, with CEO Fong Lei asserting a secure balance sheet with Bitcoin until Bitcoin drops to $800 to $8,000 to $10,000. The company has raised its cash reserves to $3 billion, providing a buffer against potential market pressures. That's not going to be enough. $3 billion is not going to be enough. This is a house of cards. They basically made up a non-GAAP metric to sell investors on the idea of buying all the Bitcoin. Everything relied on Bitcoin's price being up. They have a 3.5 beta. They're losing $37 a share. Yeah, total house of cards. Heard Toyota's building in the U.S. soon. I don't buy automotives. Not interested in automotives. Thoughts on BlackRock? There's really can't go wrong with the world's largest asset manager. I think they surpassed $15 trillion the other day. in assets under management. I really don't think you can go wrong with these guys for a long-term hold. All in on AMD today. Good luck, Jordan. Think the tariffs will affect anything? They have. Will they continue to affect things? There's probably a good chance that will continue to be the case, yeah. Like, Trump could totally announce, 100% tariffs on China again tomorrow. And very few people could see that coming. I mean, it's tariffs are basically a way of life at the moment, and we have to deal with it. Apple price movements. I like Apple regardless of what the price is doing. I'm probably never going to sell my stock in Apple. TSMC, I know earnings come out today. Is Nebius a steal right now? No, absolutely not. No. Do you think it makes sense to sell UNH if I bought it for $250 to rebalance your portfolio? Well, so you're obviously in profit at this point. You've done extremely well on your investment, depending on your time frame, of course. If you bought it $250, so that was like what, back in March, April, or it could have been before that. I'm not 100% sure, but obviously there's a lot to like about that. Now, with respect to rebalancing your portfolio, I think that's another question entirely. If you like the profits you have and you want to take them, then go for it. Is no key you can have a rebound in earnings? Doubt it. Why no Nebius? It's overvalued. It's overvalued. Like, I get the idea. The one thing that I like about Nebius is that they have a geographical niche compared to a lot of other companies. The one thing that scares me about companies like Nebius, the one thing that scares me about companies like iRun is they basically count future earnings as future earnings are being priced in as today's earnings. In many cases that makes sense. But, money hasn't been wired yet. Cash actually hasn't exchanged hands yet. I know their $1 billion deal with Reflection AI, like, that's exciting, that's cool. It's still expensive. And in a lot of cases, they're competing with their own customers. That's especially true for the case of a company like CoreWeave. And CoreWeave's much, much worse than Nebius. I'd much rather own stock in this company, but it's still too expensive. Take-Two Entertainment. It's one of my highest conviction bull picks, Nick. I really like Take-Two at this price. I'm really excited to see what Q2 earnings for Take-Two look like. Thoughts on gold? One of the best hedges out there, Jason. Or Jacob, sorry. Or Jason, sorry. There was someone named Jacob right above you. Chat's moving pretty quick. The thing is, though, is that if you're going to buy, if you're going to go to gold.com, and this is just kind of my position on precious metals in general, I'd rather just go straight to the futures as opposed to putting a business in the way of what I actually want, which is exposure to the precious metal itself. Because if I want to invest in something like gold, silver, or, palladium or cobalt or copper or whatever, I'd go directly to the futures as opposed to putting a business in the way that has expenses. It's a solid, an amazing hedge, but and probably one of the best hedges out there. It's the best macro hedge. Gold is, I think. But if you want to buy stock in gold.com, then why not just buy the gold future? Opinion on AI and AI-associated stocks might be considered overheated. Yeah, I mean, the market in general is expensive at the moment. Things are just generally overvalued, historically speaking. Thoughts on Penguin? Oh, yeah, these guys. They had an insanely good week the other week. Yeah, what did they do again? AI infrastructure solution. Could be a fun play. I mean, what's interesting is that it seems like they have more fundamentals than their competitors. Thoughts on Sphere? Nick, do you have a ticker for him? What happened to Nebius? Today happened. The market was not kind to a lot of people today. And to be honest, it needed to go in that direction. Thoughts on Lucid will go bankrupt? That's a very real possibility. I mean, that, you know, cool idea, but I don't get into automotives at all. Mara Holdings, who are these guys? What do they do? Energy digital infrastructure company. Yeah, another energy play. Leverages Bitcoin mining and AI to compute, monetize excess energy, underutilized power. Yeah, probably not. I'll probably pass. That's probably just a worse version of kind of the things that IREN's doing at the moment. I mean, yeah, the fundamentals are garbage. Look at this. Like, massively unprofitable. I don't know what they decided to pay for in 2025. On a quarterly basis, it looks just as bad. Yep, hard pass. Hard pass. Made a lot with SanDisk this year. Should I sell profits or take... Nick, when did you get into SanDisk? Depends on when you got in. Because and the interesting thing is, like, if you got into SanDisk, like, if we go to like the beginning of the year, like, if you got into SanDisk in February at about $600 a share, you're still very happy. Like, there's still a lot of reasons to be happy. But with that being said, it requires a very close examination on what your bull thesis of the company is. Like, you got to go back to the original reasons as to why you decided to buy stock in this company specifically, and if you think your reasons for buying the stock will come to fruition or are still good. That's what you got to pay close attention to. And with that comes maybe the idea that, yeah, maybe it's over. Maybe it's time to get out. Lucid, not a fan. Fermi Inc. All right. Probably another private electric grid play for AI. Combines cutting-edge technology, deep bench of proven world-class multidisciplinary leaders, 25 gigawatts of experience. Founded and incorporated on January 10th. And so they're less than 2 years old, which means they IPO'd pretty recently. Yeah, back in October 2025 at $26 a share. Now they're down to $5.91. Guys, this is a classic example of why IPOs, historically speaking, IPOs don't perform that well. We're now, nearly a year after it IPO'd, and it's at 1/5 of the value. Probably still losing money. Probably has bad fundamentals. I don't get why you would. What there could be a bull case here. Yeah, 2025. What did they lost? According to Barron's, last quarter Q1 26, they lost 188 million. Assets have gone up significantly. They've had liabilities go up. They got 1.8 billion in assets. Could be a bull case. There could be one. It'd have to be very high conviction, though. As far as would I buy stock in it today? No, absolutely not. Micron just crushed me. Yeah, for anybody who's in Micron and is feeling the pain today, the good news about Micron, I think, is they have the strongest fundamentals of everybody who's really suffering hard today. That's the good news. A 6% correction is better than a 12% one, and that's because of the company's fundamentals. Micron has the bark and it has the bite. Was I expecting it to go this low? No, I wasn't. I thought 890 per share is where we'd see support. Clearly, that's not the case. We'll see, though. Take on OKLO. I mean, I get the bull case. It's on my watch list. I mean, right now, no, probably not. I wouldn't get in. When can Micron go back up? It could go back up today or tomorrow. What do you think of Amazon as it goes into earnings? Solid choice. I like Amazon a lot. Do I think Micron will reverse? We'll probably see it come back up. I would think so, yeah. I mean, this is a pretty big correction, especially over the last couple of days. I mean, this is a lot. Could I see it rebounding tomorrow? Yeah. It's hard to tell, though, if this is an actual real shift going on in memory and semiconductors, or if this is just more correction we've seen since, the beginning of June. So we'll see. I'm down almost 10,000 in Micron. Yeah, we'll see. Do I buy Micron now? I no plans of buying it. Is this too good not to? That's a good question. There's still probably a very strong bull case for Micron to be made. It'll probably outlast its competition if there's like a fundamental downturn and we enter a bear market, because the fundamentals are there for Micron. As far as getting it at this specific price point, maybe. But the one thing that I will admit that I thought we were going to see support at $890 a share for Micron. Clearly, that's not the case. So it's probably worth sitting on the sidelines a little bit longer until we see an uptrend. Maybe the next earnings report. Serve Robotics. I think somebody had asked me about these guys a while back. Oh, never mind. No, this is a micro cap play. Probably not. Just off the bat, probably not. Yeah, low emission robots that serve people in public and commercial spaces, food delivery activity. Yeah, I mean, it's a fun idea. As far as being a $400 million company, I think it's what that it said, $450 million. Yeah, it's probably not. It's been around for less than 10 years. Probably has been losing money that entire time. Yeah, I mean, they just had to raise equity, it looks like. Yeah, I mean, this is a massive equity raise right here over the last couple of years. They probably ran out of cash a couple of years ago, and they found some VC firm or somebody to get in on them. It's a cool idea. I think the best case scenario for these guys is they get bought by, like Boston Dynamics or something like this. Probably kind of a small market, to be honest. Like the TAM's probably not huge for Serve. GE Vernova. I like GE Vernova a lot. I know that basically airlines and the data center business, or I should say not airlines, aircraft manufacturers and hyperscalers are now starting to fight with each other for turbines. That's great news for GE Vernova. Take on Iron, overvalued. Overvalued, it's moving in the right direction, still has more room to correct. Applied Digital. Applied Digital should be making money, but they're not, and they're losing money faster than their revenue is growing. A little bit concerning. Probably won't touch Applied Digital. The beta is insanely high as well. So if they need to raise equity, or if they need to, their weighted average cost of capital is probably very high, like north of 10%, which is a lot, even for a company in a popular space like this. So yeah. IREN, no, I've already said IREN's no, don't like it, even at this point. SK Hynix, they had a pretty big correction today as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, down 11%. Like Micron, though, the fundamentals are there. So if you want a Korean company as opposed to an American one, this could be your play. Applied Materials, AMAT, love AMAT. Been a shareholder in AMAT for a very long time. Obviously has suffered the past couple of weeks, but to be honest, probably deserved. Nebius is still too expensive. NBIS too expensive. What do you think about the memory cycle, though? Yeah, with the memory cycle, I don't think we're at the end of it. Obviously, with Meta announcing the news a couple of weeks ago that they're going to rethink about how much money they're spending, we're probably going to see another piece of news about OpenAI being able to meet its commitments to Oracle. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't think it's over yet. It could be close to the end. It's hard. It's really hard to say, though. I can't call it specifically. Intel. Intel's got a long way to go. I don't like Intel at this price. INOQ. Pre-revenue quantum play, but I want to see revenue first. There's no proof of concept yet. Selling one share of my backpacking business for $120K. Go to Kevin O'Leary. Maybe he'll give you a royalty deal. Zealand Pharma. Do we have a ticker for them? Broadcom. I think there are better plays than Broadcom, to be honest. Is it a bad company? No, I think it's a little expensive, though. A little bit too expensive. What about Oracle? It's my least favorite hyperscaler. All semiconductors taking a big hit from the news yesterday, and I don't see it reversing. Maybe for now, Pierre, but I mean, I could see why you think that. I don't think that's a completely unreasonable take. Yeah, I mean, I'm not quite as pessimistic as that. I could see how some things could rebound, but just because with large corrections that we're seeing today for companies like Micron, for companies like Nebius, for all these types of, I mean, even Broadcom, Applied Materials, Lam, there's usually some rebound after a big correction like this, but we'll see. What do you think about Netflix? I think the earnings report just got released. Well, yeah, what is Netflix's earnings? Don't see them. Actually can go look at that. Is that after market close? Oh, they haven't yet. Okay. Yeah, after the bell. Okay, so about another hour and 15 minutes, we'll find out. Analysts are predicting 79 cents a share in earnings for Netflix. So, with this earnings report for Netflix, so it's probably now it's probably the best time to go take a look at the fundamentals and see if you think this is a good entry point. SanDisk, in a tough spot. AMD, I don't know why you'd buy stock in AMD as opposed to investing in NVIDIA. Give me just a sec, guys. I got to use the restroom. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. Netflix is going to boom so hard. Maybe, Scotty. We'll see. We'll see about Netflix. A lot of things to like about it. It's been tanking. Now's the time to buy. Are we talking about Netflix still? Ross says Netflix is going to tank really hard. Maybe. Buying 2,000 shares of BlackBerry before today. That's a choice. That's certainly a choice. Chick Cerberus. Tiago, do we have a ticker? I don't see a ticker for them. I need a ticker. CBRS. Oh, yeah, I remember these guys. Nope. No. Way too expensive. Yeah, not a fan. Yeah, this is it's too much. Too much for this. I know that they're profitable, and I know that they recently I think they recently entered. Oh, yeah, there's no data yet. Probably have to go look at some of the other filings. I mean, yeah, it's just too much. Not a fan. Not a fan. Is Nvidia a buy at this price? It could be. It could be. Obviously, Nvidia is the best GPU maker out of anybody by a country mile. They have the strongest fundamentals by far. As far as a target price for Nvidia, I don't have one at the moment. I'd have to do the modeling work to determine what a solid target price is. As far as like a guess, like a neighborhood target price for Nvidia, like 240 to 250 a share. AMD to the moon. I think it'll hit the floor first and go below the floor, crash through the floor. How do you screen your stocks? Good question. I don't have like a specific method or like set of instructions of how I look at the business behind the stock, of course, which means looking at how it makes its money, what its cost structure looks like, who its customers are, what the quality of earnings it has, what the health of its balance sheet looks like, how it uses its cash, what its growth prospects are, unit economics of the product or service sold, that kind of stuff. I look very closely at that, and then I try and determine if the intrinsic value of the company is less or more than what the market thinks it is. And there's probably, in a lot of cases, there's definitely companies that are overlooked, meaning the intrinsic value is higher than what the market thinks it's worth, and there are companies that, are too hyped, meaning the intrinsic value is less. So in many cases, it's harder to find undervalued companies in today's market than it is in others. I also like to look at companies that have been, like IBM's a perfect example of this. A good question I like to ask myself is this correction that we saw earlier this week with IBM, is that an overreaction? And in many cases, and in a lot of cases, yes, it is. The market overreacts to stuff all the time. The question is how much of an overreaction is this, and is the degree of this overreaction warranted? So just using IBM's recent price movement as an example, it could be warranted, though. It just requires a look at the business, and you got to go look. Do I also look at competitors? Yeah, 100%. Look at competitors, look at the total accessible market share, all that. I look at all that stuff. Anything about Intel? Listen, Intel has it's a fun turnaround story. There's things on a very long-term basis. There are things to like about Intel. Recently, though, Intel's a classic example of the market getting way too hyped about a company. Intel, since the beginning of the year, has done extremely well, right? It's at one point, I think it was like late last year, is like at around $20 a share. And then it exploded to nearly $150 recently. Now, obviously, it wasn't overnight, and there was a lot of positive movement. But this is a classic case of a company getting overhyped by the market. The fundamentals simply aren't there for Intel. And in order for Intel to get turned around and to become profitable, especially with its foundry business, it's going to take a long time to do that. And this sell-off that we're seeing, I think, is people realizing how much it's going to be. You can check out BlackBerry. Someone else mentioned it. I don't like BlackBerry. I don't. Considering selling my calls and buying puts, or should I wait till Monday? What depends on what, Pierre, what you're talking about. Opinion on CoreWeave. So, CoreWeave is a company that I think is so badly overhyped, and is a company that has such bad fundamentals that I have multiple short positions in this. This company, the whole idea behind CoreWeave is going to unravel. They compete with all three of their customers, and they're using a massive amount of debt to finance their GPU acquisition. They're terrified that the value per hour for Blackwell chips in RTX 3000s is going to go down, and it probably will. That's going to impact their earnings heavily, and eventually they may not be able to make interest payments. Right now, I think CoreWeave is worth its net asset value. That's about $20 a share. And I did a very long bull thesis or bear thesis on CoreWeave on my YouTube channel. It's about a half hour long video going into the fundamentals, going into how they make their money, all this kind of stuff. Opinion on DRAM, probably more pain ahead of unless we have a massive turnaround in memory tomorrow. I mean, a pretty painful day for DRAM. I don't know how much of SanDisk and Western Digital they own and these types, but it's if you want exposure to memory, this is a good place to do it, but it's been a rough day. Opinion on Redwire. Do we have a ticker for Redwire? How do you record yourself and you have your screen behind you? I have a green screen behind me. Microsoft, as far as companies that I think are like strong businesses that could be good investments at the moment are basically the Mag 7, save for Oracle. I like Microsoft at this price. Honestly, things have been turning around for Microsoft. I thought we were going to go below $350 a share for Microsoft. I still like Microsoft at this price. I like Amazon at its current price, even Meta at its current price. Google, Alphabet, solid ones. All solid choices. How about gold these days? What would you say? Gold's probably my favorite macro hedge out there. I think it's always a good idea to own a little bit of gold in your portfolio. It's not correlated to any of this stuff, which is very good. It's very good from a risk management perspective. I really do like holding gold in my portfolio. Will gold go back above $5,000 an ounce tomorrow? Probably not. Could it? Eventually. It's just a macro play. It depends on where interest rates go. Redwire. Redwire. What do these guys do? Space solutions, space infrastructure for government commercial customers, Europe and internationally, space and defense tech, sensors and avionics, star trackers and sun sensors. Okay, interesting. Accurate navigation and control of spacecraft, infrared, combat autonomous systems. Interesting. Okay, so they're a defense contractor. One of the smaller ones, it looks like. $2 billion market cap. They're losing money. Why? The one thing to love about defense contractors is because the things that I love about defense contractors, they have the best customers in the world. The problem is that they're losing money faster than they're making it. Okay, so this is just yearly. Let's look at a quarterly perspective. Okay, so they probably had some financing rounds. Maybe they were low on cash. Not sure what their liquidity situation looks like. Investing outflows can't. This tells me that they're not spending a lot of money on stuff to invest in the company. So they're probably having to pay for stuff right now that they. It's not great. I mean, I'd love to see a bull thesis about it. It's interesting. We'll see though. As far as buying stock in them right now, probably not. Probably not. I mean, how have they done year to date? Oh, they had a big spike. Probably was that earnings or some news. Okay, some analysts called them a buy. And they just got downgraded by Jefferies right after. That's kind of funny. Yeah, it's probably a pass. Thoughts on Oracle long term? Yeah, I mean, there's things to like about Oracle long term. They're just my least favorite hyperscaler. There's better hyperscalers than Oracle. SAP. Yeah, let's look at SAP. What is it? So as far as what SAP is doing differently, so I know they dominate the European market. In a lot of ways, they're almost kind of like Europe's Salesforce in some ways. I mean, I recently did a deep dive into ServiceNow, so it's probably not too. There's going to be differences, of course. As far as how the fundamentals look, just a quick look at the finances of the company over the last couple of years. There's probably a lot of things to like about it, SAP. I'm just going to look at their NASDAQ price instead of what's going on in Germany. Probably buybacks is what's causing all this. Maybe not. Have to see what that is. Could be paying off some debt. Healthy margin, almost 20%. Quarterly things seem okay. It's probably a safe blue chip play. As far as what would cause a breakout, it's hard to say. It would probably have to be on some extremely good news or something like this. Maybe if they acquire a smaller target or something like that. It's probably all right. Take a look at now. Rakan, you should go to my YouTube channel and look at my deep dive on ServiceNow. That's where you get much better answers than what you're going to get here. Long story short, though, I think ServiceNow is about $90 a share. So it's close. I think ServiceNow is a hold at the moment. Thoughts on NVIDIA for the moment? Yeah, NVIDIA's at an interesting position because they're the best at what they do. And honestly, the valuation is attractive, but what's going to cause a breakout for NVIDIA? Hard to say. We may not see one. Here's the thing. If there's a massive turn on data center spend and CapEx spend, NVIDIA is going to fall through the floor. Is that going to happen tomorrow? I don't think so. Could it happen in the future? It almost could, yeah. There's a lot of things to indicate that could be the case. But if you're going to want exposure into GPUs and microchips and all that kind of stuff, in that situation, NVIDIA is the company you'd probably want to be a shareholder in, as opposed to like AMD. Invest in SpaceX. Yeah, good. Have fun with that. AIOI. It's cool what they're doing, but I'm not like, and there's signs that the fundamentals are there. Not my favorite though. Netflix before earnings. Yeah, we'll see in about an hour. I mean, I don't know. You guys let me know. What do you think? Is Netflix gonna what's after hours movement gonna look like? It's gonna go up or down as a result of earnings, and is it gonna beat earnings? Let me know what you think. Got into NVIDIA at 210 a share yesterday. What do you predict? I could. So here's the thing about NVIDIA. I mean, my like off the top of my head, just doing napkin math and not actually doing hardcore modeling work, I could see NVIDIA being somewhere around 245 to 255 a share. But again, that's napkin math in my head. There's a lot more variables that need to be taken into account. Bro, the people that are watching you need penny stock options. Oh my God. Ugh. It's a good way to get burned. How many times do you check your portfolio today, and how do you not overreact to short term? It's actually a really good question, Ben. I check my portfolio probably 1 to 3 times a day. How do I not overreact? I don't overreact because I know the market gets stuff wrong all the time, and I stick to the facts of the business and the facts of what my research tells me about the company. One of the best investments I ever made went down for a long time before it went up. What would you say is an interesting action right now? Here are my 2 highest conviction stocks. My highest conviction bull pick is Take-Two Interactive. This is my highest conviction bull pick right now. My price target for Take-Two Interactive is about $285 a share. I really, really like Take-Two Interactive. Very bullish on this. My biggest bear conviction is CoreWeave. This company is, and my conviction is probably even higher in this than it is in Take-Two Interactive. I'm massively short CoreWeave. Another strong conviction stock that I have is MSTR Strategy Inc. Very bearish on that. This is because of Rockstar GTA. Partially. But one of the very big overlooked reasons for Take-Two Interactive is that most of the money that Take-Two Interactive makes is not because of Rockstar. Its most profitable and biggest publishing label is Zynga. And they were unprofitable in recent quarters because of amortization charges on their income statement. They were basically writing down the value of their IP from the Zynga acquisition in 2022. That's now effectively done. So if you look at Q4 25 to Q1 26 for Take-Two Interactive, there's a very big change. It's still unprofitable, but it makes a big jump. So because of that, we'll probably see better cash flow, better free cash flow for Take-Two Interactive. And the other thing is I don't think the market is correctly priced in lifetime value of GTA 6. The Take-Two TTWO is going to knock it out of the park in November. It's going to be insane once that finally releases. It's a future on MU and Alibaba. MU, I could see it rebounding. We're in a weird spot with Micron right now. Google, Leo, I like Google. There's a lot of things to like about Google. You think about IREN, still overvalued. IREN's overvalued. People ask about IREN all the time and spam questions about IREN. IREN's too expensive. It's too expensive. They're making interesting moves. Basically, going from a Bitcoin miner to a GPU landlord is a good move. That got too overhyped. Too overhyped though. Velo3D sells small metal additive three-dimensional printers in the Americas, Europe, and internationally. The printers enable production of components for space rockets, jet engines, fuel delivery, metal parts. Cool. So these guys are probably a subcontractor for SpaceX, Blue Origin, these guys, right? Interesting. They got 134 employees. They're in Fremont, California. Microcap at only $312 million. Velo3D Inc. So the moat is it's going to require. So my first question about these guys is the moat. Like, what's their competitive advantage? What's going to stop somebody from getting in the exact same space as these guys? Like, do they have patents or IP on, what is it called? Their Sapphire 1MZ, Sapphire XC, Sapphire. Yeah. Okay. So these printers, do they have IP or patents protecting this stuff? And is it better than potential competition? Taking a quick glance at the fundamentals, things seem okay. I mean, they're still losing money, so they probably have pretty high. Their operating margin is probably not very high. But at this size, with only what? I mean, they did $45 million in revenue, and they're pretty, 134 employees. They probably. So here are my two questions about these guys. The first is, what's their moat? And the second is, how long is it going to take them to fully realize their total accessible market? Meaning, when are they really going to get like big deals from companies like SpaceX or companies like Boeing or companies like whoever else, right? When are they going to get a multi-billion-dollar deal from those guys? Those are the two main questions I have. It's like the story sounds like they haven't achieved economies of scale. They probably haven't been profitable for a while. Makes sense. They're small, but what's the moat? When are they going to reach TAM, and when are they going to capture economies of scale? That's just kind of giving you guys a quick idea of what my initial thoughts are at looking something like this. So that means looking at who their competitors are, of who actually does this. What their overhead looks like, how big the market is, these kinds of things. Thoughts on Clarity Act boosting crypto later this year? Honestly, I'm not in crypto. Cool if it does. What price am I interested in IBM at? With IBM, it's I don't know yet. I honestly don't know. I still have to do research into determining if IBM, if this massive sell-off from IBM that we saw earlier this week was justified. And if it was justified, then I'm not really interested in it anymore. But if it was not justified, then that's when I kind of look into it further. The AI bubble bursting? Maybe. Do you like Hims long term? Maybe, Patrick, but Hims and Hers should be making money, and they're not. So it's a little bit like they should be making. They have a good business, and you should be profitable, but they're not. Kind of concerning. Any advice in an energy stock? I'm not in many. I don't have many energy plays. Am I dumb for just loading my portfolio with VOO and QQM? Absolutely not, Jack. No. That's not a dumb idea. I don't think. Thoughts on Amazon? I like Amazon's valuation. Celsius is fun to watch. The beverage companies are always fun. I would be a shareholder in Celsius, even though I think it's a little bit expensive, because there's a decent chance that Coke or Pepsi could come along and buy them for $100 a share. That would be a great day. But for the most part, it's a distribution and marketing play. Vistra. Yeah, another energy play. Yeah, retails electricity and natural gas. So, I mean, utilities are all right. It's what's their yield? Only 57 basis points. How does Vistra compare to something like Duke Energy? Yeah, I mean, you're like, so with if I wanted to get into a utility off the bat, I already like Duke more. I mean, I've got a 3.5% yield on Duke compared to only 57 basis points with Vistra. Beta's extremely low. Yeah, I mean, if you like utilities, safe, kind of boring, not that exciting. What are some non-AI tech companies that I have strong conviction in? Non-AI tech companies. The one I'm most familiar with at the moment is ServiceNow. I think ServiceNow is a hold. I think they've done a good job with what they've had. I think they've done a good job pivoting, especially since the SaaS apocalypse began. They're probably slightly overvalued, but I still think it's a solid hold. That's the thing is though is like, yeah, I mean, yeah, there, that's kind of what I have to say about it. What index funds do you suggest for opening a brokerage account? VOO, VTI. What makes good stock research, and are you holding AI? I mean, I've indirect exposure to AI through the index funds I have. I have indirect exposure to AI via Applied Materials. What makes good stock research? I mean, how much time do you have? That's a conversation that probably never ends. And people like there's no right answer to what good stock research is. If you want to educate yourself on it, go read books on it. Go read Howard Marks. Go read Peter Lynch. Go read Ben Graham. Joel Greenblatt, Burt Malkiel. These guys. Go read all of that stuff. Is Micron a buy today? Probably not. It's hard to say. Hard to say for Micron. I like Micron's fundamentals, but this market movement's been a little iffy. Should make a post about books you recommend. That's a great idea. I think I might. Due diligence never ends. I think extremely well said, Xanadu. Extremely well said. That's absolutely true. Due diligence does. A good investor truly never ends their due diligence. Very well said. Thoughts on the space sector? Very long term, I like the space sector. Like SpaceX, very long term, I'm bullish on. Right now, SpaceX is kind of all over the place. Very long term, I like Rocket Lab could be an interesting play as well. Uber, there's more stuff to be excited about. I think. I mean, I know Uber got a lot of attention lately because Nancy Pelosi got a big position in the company. It's done okay. I mean, it had an okay month. It's got decent fundamentals. It's making money. It's really a question of how much more is it going to grow in the future, and how realistic your growth projections are. They just doubled their market. Oh, they acquired Delivery Hero. Interesting. When was that announced? Footprint to 99 markets. Was that very recently announced today? Oh, okay. Well, that's new piece of information. I didn't know that. Okay, that could be interesting. That's right. It says $14.8 billion for Delivery Hero, okay? Expand delivery equipment to 99 markets globally. Dara is going to step down. But maintaining Uber's interest in Grab. If Uber and Grab merge, or if one acquires the other, that could be an interesting play. That's a significant global market share of the ride share and food delivery market. Could be interesting. Google had some issues with Gemini and dropped. I mean, there's still reasons to like Google. What site is this? This is Yahoo Finance, and then I also have Barron's up right here. All right, let's look at Zscaler. Yep. Internet security. Okay. Not great, not terrible, quarterly perspective. Kind of stagnant. They made some big CapEx. They either bought somebody or bought a lot of stuff back in Q4 25. Interesting. $7 billion in assets. Cloud Sandbox. Okay. 2007. Yeah, a fun comparison would be these guys in CrowdStrike. Any stock holding for a long time that's not space sector? Apple. I'm probably never going to sell my shares in Apple. I mean, the Apple's going to be around long after I'm gone. Apple's probably going to be around for longer than my grandkids are gone. So yeah, I mean, like that stuff. Best buy for potential cash out in a year or so. That's not how I look at investing. That's kind of not. I don't really know how to answer that question because that's not how I look at buying stocks. Lost 30% on DRAM. You think I should sell? If you lost 30% on DRAM and you're wondering why you should sell, you should go back to your original thesis as to why you bought the ETF in the first place. And if you think that reality no longer matches your thesis, or the facts no longer support your thesis, then yeah. But you need to go back into why you did that. How do you know when to sell? There's kind of two ways I think about selling. The first is the first way I think about selling is, am I happy with the profits that I have in the stock? Do I have a solid IRR on the company? And do I have a need for the cash? So that's kind of a 2 in 1. And then the second is that do I think the company's valuation has reached the maximum point it has for now? That's also another question I ask. Is there a strong case for the continued increase in a company's valuation? And if the answer is no, then that's a good time to sell. Tax implications, yeah, that's also true. Will SanDisk make a comeback? We'll probably see some rebounding on SanDisk, but honestly, we're in a wonky spot with memory right now, and semiconductors. Can we talk about NVIDIA? Yeah, so here's my take on NVIDIA is essentially this. NVIDIA is the best positioned GPU manufacturer out of anybody. They're the best in the world at what they do. Their valuation is reasonable. Some might even say attractive. The fundamentals are absolutely there for NVIDIA. They have bark and bite. They are the real deal. They can walk the walk and talk the talk and walk the walk. With respect to what NVIDIA's future looks like and what its future stock price could look like, it's probably not going to be as dramatic as something like AMD's. And it's probably not going to be as dramatic as something like Marvell Technology or something like Micron. And the reason why I say that is because NVIDIA's already captured a massive amount of global market share. They may continue to beat earnings. I don't know how much more the market's going to reward them for that, though. And if there is a big case for growth, I'm not 100% sure what it is. I'd have to kind of see how much of the TAM that they own and where NVIDIA is going to hover. Honestly, Xanadu, I think so as well. Doing napkin math in my head, I could see it hitting like 250 a share maybe soon. But that's just napkin math. Gonna call it for today. Thanks. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Olaf. Thanks for hanging out, man. Thank you. Are the hyperscalers making their own silicon? Some are trying to. Apple on the overvalued side for me personally, also slow growth, but depends on goals, etc. Yeah, I mean, Ian, like I said, I'm probably never going to sell my shares in Apple. The staying power is just too strong. Will the stock price fluctuate over time? It absolutely will. Like if Apple corrects 10% tomorrow, am I selling my shares? No way. No, absolutely not. I think is it appropriately valued? Yeah, I do. I'm hanging on to it for now. Do you DCA your positions or lump sum? I DCA. I have a REIT position that I DCA. You have $1,500. What are you buying? Jen, it depends. If I am not 100% sure about what I want to buy in the stock market, but I want to invest money, then I'd go straight to VOO or VTI and put my $1,500 there. If you have 10K to stick into one stock right now, what would it be for the long term? Harrison, it depends. Like long term meaning more than 1 years, but less than 10, or more than 10 years. Just sold my MSTR. That's a good call, Jen. Very good call. That's an extremely good call. More than 10 years. Apple. I know it's a boring answer. Amazon. There's some consumer cyclicals that I think are good holds for very long term periods of time, like Kroger, the grocery store. I think isn't a bad play for something like that. Help me feel better about IREN or convince me to pull out the plaster and sell. So nothing. I don't know if this is your first time hanging out here or if you've been in my live stream before. I've been pretty loud and vocal about how I don't like IREN and its price. When I saw IREN reach above $60 per share a while back, I quite literally chuckled and scoffed. Even at this price, it's still expensive. If it gets below $30 a share, it could like. Here's the thing. I don't love their moat, though. I don't like. They have okay fundamentals. I don't love their moat. They've got interesting ideas about how they want to grow. That may have changed since the last time I read up about them. The whole idea of using renewable energy is interesting. They definitely got overhyped by the market. And on a quarterly basis, I mean, this is what they've looked like. They sold off some stuff, like they're losing, like revenue's going down, profits going down. For now, I can say I'm not comfortable with paying $35 a share for this business. And would I pay, but at $20 a share, it could be interesting. The thing is, though, is that I don't know what the market's going to do with IREN. I don't like it for its price at the moment. So as far as something that, like, you know, do you sell? That's dependent upon what your conviction is of what the future prospects of the company are. You could diamond hand it and say, yeah, I'm gonna hold it through this. Or, you know, you can cut your losses if you want. You have to go back to your, like I said to somebody else who asked, should I sell? Go back to your original thesis. Go back to the time when you decided to click buy on purchasing shares in this company and examine the reasons why you decided to click buy. If you think those reasons are still good reasons, and if you think the facts still support that, then maybe consider holding it. But if you bought it because your friend said, look at how much money I just made on that, then that was a silly choice to begin with. Are you invested in SoFi, my highest conviction, high growth company trading at a great price? Ian, I'm not. I'd love to hear a really good bull case for SoFi. I'm not super excited by it, but if you have a great bull case, I'd love to hear it, honestly. I need to learn a little bit more about it. I know they're doing some interesting things that are a little bit different, and I know that Robinhood is trying to do that as well. At roughly 40x earnings, though, it seems a little like I'd actually be really interested in hearing the bull case. Yeah. My thesis remains good when I bought IREN, but they made some weird decisions around marketing. Okay. Well, if you still like your thesis and you still like where things are headed, then yeah, go for it. Hang on to it. You should let your own conviction beat mine when it comes to your investment decisions, 100%. Netflix earnings, what do you think? I don't know. To be honest, I think analysts expect 79 cents a share for Netflix. I don't think we'll be far off from that. They might be a little bit disappointing. That's what my gut tells me. Do you have a YouTube channel explaining beginner level stocks and investing? I do. Yeah, go to the link in my bio. I got a YouTube channel where I do deep dives into the companies themselves. As far as like beginner is concerned, and like maybe I can do that. It gets pretty into the accounting terms can get a little technical though. When you look at filings, that kind of stuff. Is Nebius right now overvalued? Yes, it is. Yes. Cheers, dude. Always second guessing when you go plus 30% down 20% a month. Yeah, that's the ride, my friend. That's the ride. But I appreciate your conviction, and I'm glad you're deciding you still like your thesis. Because if you still like your thesis, in spite of like what I think about IREN, I think that's a good thing. You should trust, like when it comes to your own investing decisions, I think you should trust your own gut more than a stranger's. And if you like your reasons and you think they're good, then honestly, that makes me happy. Why do finance experts attribute their content as non-financial advice? Because of liability? Yeah. What do you think about Palantir? Palantir is very expensive. It's strong fundamentals. Very, very good company. Hate the leadership. There's a ton of things to like about Palantir, but the market's massively overhyping it. Massively overhyping it. We'll see, though. I mean, it could get the Elon Musk treatment, and just like people may think that 150x for this is normal. What do you think about Rheinmetall in 5-10 years? Could be an interesting play. I know Rheinmetall is definitely up there as like the premier European defense contractor, and considering what's going on with NATO right now, the Europeans may be forced to raise their budgets. That means Rheinmetall's first in line for some sweet deals. Got to go look at the fundamentals a little bit more. Got to look at their investor relations reports, all that kind of stuff. Thoughts on Aritzia? I actually did look at Aritzia a while back. I don't know what Aritzia is trading at, actually. I haven't looked at it. You said yesterday AV is not to buy. Today it's rocketing clear bottom W. AeroVironment. I don't like the fundamentals on them. I think that's what I said. I don't like the Palantir chairman. A lot of people don't, me included. Can we really see a rally to 120 again this year for CoreWeave? We might, but I certainly wouldn't understand why it would. CoreWeave is not worth that. Why leadership at Palantir? I don't like Alex Karp because I think that he's got very strange philosophical ideas about what he thinks Palantir should be used for, I think. The guy's brain, it moves 100 times faster than his mouth does. It's very, like, to get a clear stream, like a clear articulate thought out of him is probably pretty tough. Smart dude, no doubt. But yeah, I think those are valid reasons. I think hate was the wrong word. That's a strong word. I dislike the leadership in Palantir. I'll say it. There you go. What about Rocket Lab? Yeah, right now Rocket Lab's a no for me. I can see why people like it though. There could be an interesting bull case. It's a bit of a long shot though, if I'm being honest. Is Microsoft going to crash again? Up 2% a day. Depends on how you define crash. I don't see that happening, if I'm honest. I like Microsoft. I have $500. What do you suggest I invest for in the long term? ADSU or ADSU. I think if you are, if you're a knowledgeable investor and you're really, really willing to spend a lot of time looking at stocks and looking at different companies, then there are some recommendations. But if you want to be more of a passive investor and you're not 100% sure where to put your money, then VOO VTI is what I would say. Take on Marvel. Marvel's too expensive. It's a lot. Can we talk biotech for a second? Yeah, absolutely. Shoot a ticker at me. Do you think MU is a good buy right now? Hard to say. Very hard to say, to be honest. Gilead. Yeah, Gilead. I think you asked about them, Xanadu. I was a shareholder in Gilead at one point. What they had like something just get approved by the FDA, right? Because I know they were the HIV/AIDS, like they were the guys that had the HIV/AIDS medication, and I know they're big enough to where they can afford approved Ebola double vax. Oh, got it. Okay. Um, I know that they also have they're doing other stuff like hepatitis treatment and that kind of stuff, and they're big enough to be able to afford a couple of clinical trial failures. The fundamentals, I think, probably are there for Gilead. I don't. The thing is though is like the what they like the niche that they carve for themselves out of the market is there's more popular places to be in the pharmaceuticals, like GLP-1s, for example, and that's what Eli Lilly's doing. So their fundamentals are probably strong. Their growth story probably isn't as I can't see it being as strong as something like Eli Lilly's though. I could be wrong on this though. I could certainly be wrong on this, and I'd be very interested to hear. Like, there's probably a very good bull case for Gilead. I'd love to hear it. Rare conditions they charge so much. Yeah, I mean that's pharmaceuticals for you. It seems like a healthy balance sheet. I mean, 29% margin last year, quarterly basis. Things seem to be looking okay. $7 billion in revenue, $2 billion in net profit. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Right here, back in the first quarter of 2026, this smells like buybacks and maybe paying off some debt. And we might be able to get an idea if that could be true. Yeah, so that like back here, January, February, this probably looked like it was some share buybacks potentially. I'd have to go look at the filings to see if that's the case. But can we compare it to Eli Lilly? We can. I'd prefer to do that in a long form content format though. To do like a 45-minute YouTube video comparing the two. Probably, like, don't get me wrong, a solid pharmaceutical pick. Get a 2.5% yield out of them. Yeah, I mean, there's, and only like less than 20 trailing 12-month PE. There's probably things to like about it. Yeah. Like, yeah, I can add it to a short list for sure and take a look at it. I'll look out for it. It might be a little while, to be honest, but because I got a lot of stuff I'm working on at the moment. Thoughts on tech stock scaremongering? Yeah, I think that so corrections were coming, of course, right? For a lot of tech stocks, a lot of semiconductors, memory corrections were coming. But are we now? Is that negative momentum going to continue to the point where we actually see fundamental shift? I think we're kind of in the gray borderline area moment of that part, or of that kind of transition. For example, I thought Micron's support was at $890 a share, and now we're well below that. So, hard to say. SpaceX, no way. Not getting into SpaceX. Could mortgage rates be going down with the cooler inflation data? Well, right now, Bryson, I know that they're not really. In fact, what's the 10-year Treasury yield? Let's go look on CNBC here really quick. Ugh. I don't know if you guys can see that. 4.56 on the 10-year. Yeah, I don't know. This my guess is that this is probably like Middle East stuff going on. Like, people are probably concerned about oil prices and what the Fed's going to do. That man, almost 4.6% on the 10-year. That's not great. I don't know. I mean, June home sales data came out and is not good, down 5.6%. Yeah, if June's like one of the best months of the year, I mean, I called it back in January. Like, the housing market in 2026 is going to be stagnant. My bond ETFs are screwed. Yeah. Yeah. No fun. I've lost money on bond ETFs. Yeah. Bloom Energy. I mean, I don't see it going. It's Obviously a rough day, and I don't see it going back above $300 a share anytime soon, to be honest. Punts suck. Heard you on that, Marilyn. Micron, $800 entry point? Maybe, Bryson. Maybe. Can we look at Lumentum? Yeah, I know they're like a big competitor with the AOI. So the valuation I don't like. The fundamentals could be there though. As far as like this optical technology for data centers is interesting. I'm not like my subject matter knowledge on that isn't as strong as I want it to be. There could be a strong bull case for this. Like AAOI, Lumentum, these companies, they kind of remind me of like Quantum Picks in a way. I still need to learn more about it. Could be cool. It's pretty expensive though. As far as the nope, wrong stock. As far as the fundamental, like a basic look at the financials at the moment. I know they haven't been around for a long time, like around 10 years is how long they've been in business. Quarterly perspective, things actually look pretty good. Okay, balance sheet has improved. It looks like they did an equity raise back in the first quarter. Profitability is going up too. I mean, they did $800 million in Q1 with $144 million in net income. It's not a bad margin. Yeah, I mean, there's probably things to like about it. The valuation seems pretty high though. So it's a question of what are the chances their growth prospects are going to come to fruition. Could be a good play. Pretty expensive though. I probably would not get in at this price. That is expensive. The fundamentals could support it. MSTR is a house of cards. Complete house of cards. Nothing to like about it. BlackBerry's a meme. Total meme. OpenAI IPO is going to be interesting. That's if it happens. I mean, will OpenAI have its IPO? They just got sued by Apple last week. The number 2 in charge left permanently after an extended leave of absence. Half the safety team left to Anthropic. They adjusted some of their projections on what I believe were earnings. I don't know, man. OpenAI still has the best model in terms of price and benchmarks. Well, the thing is that there's like Sam Altman said, you're never going to see an ad on ChatGPT. We know that's not true anymore. $600 billion in commitments to Oracle for spending commitments on what, $20 billion in revenue. That's kind of wild. Some of your key players leave for your biggest competitor. Gotten sued twice. One by your former partner from going from non-for-profit to for-profit, and now by potentially one of your, a big player in another industry they accuse you of stealing trade secrets. I mean, I don't know if their IPO is going to happen. The bad news just kind of keeps piling on for OpenAI. Oracle for me is a strong buy. What makes you say that, Salvador? I'm interested. Nokia, they only seem to get good news and good thesis, but constantly dropping. I kind of don't buy it. Like Apple, what do you think of it? Nick, I like Apple. Apple's an excellent long-term hold in my view. SpaceX, nope. SpaceX has a lot of room to correct. Philip Morris. Yeah. How did they do this year, actually? Okay. Yeah, it's been a good year. How much money are they making off Zyn? That's what I want to know. Because I know cigarettes were the name of the game for them, and now it's Zyns and vapes. Yeah. So they got Vive and Zyn under their brand portfolio. That's probably their flagship, no? We'll see. I think smoke was 45% of global revenue. Sounds about right. How do the fundamentals look? 188 a share. Julian, do you have a ticker for Crohn's? I see your comment. I need a ticker. What? Oh, okay, so the book value of the equity's gone on Philip Morris, though. Why? Huh. I mean, I know there are some big companies that carry long-term shareholder deficits on their balance sheet, like McDonald's is a good example of that, but I'm surprised that Philip Morris does. Solid margin, makes sense for this space. Quarterly perspective, things are okay. Yeah. Intel, I'm not bullish on Intel at the moment. Long term, it could be, yeah. There's things to like about Intel. It's going to take a long time though. CoreWeave, nope. CoreWeave, no. Crohn's AG. Okay, it's a beverage firm in Europe. German beverage company, producing PET. Recite. Okay. Package technology. Blah 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 blah. Don't know much about these guys. Looks like they got some interesting stuff going on with them. I'd have to take a look at their fundamentals. I mean, it's probably like late stage maturity. It's only $3.5 billion market cap. That's interesting. And a 12 PE, probably priced that way for a reason. Nebius after Darius falls, still don't like it. Still don't like it. Needed to happen for Nebius. IONQ. I know IONQ is that's kind of one of the big quantum players that a lot of people are looking at. I've been asked multiple times about IONQ. Here's the thing. My thing with IONQ. There's definitely some cool stuff going on in the quantum space. I think that quantum is the next big thing to be excited about, to be honest. But my like some pharmaceutical and biotech plays and some healthcare plays, my subject matter knowledge needs to improve. What about Crohn's? Maybe Julian, maybe, but like what for companies with low PEs like that, high yields, they probably have low growth prospects. They probably hit almost the peak of their TAM. So it could be a good hold. There's more things to be excited about, though, than them. IBM's a better play. It could be, especially with what's happened with IBM recently. I think that the market may have overreacted to the news from IBM. Here's the thing, though. It's never good news when the leadership tries to actually get ahead of the bad news and announce it before the earnings call. That's not a good sign. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to take a close look at what the fundamentals look like. I know that their revenue streams are interesting to say the least. Losing money on the production of product in the hopes it'll capture the market is a gamble. Are we talking about, is this IBM Xanadu? Is this who you're talking about? Because I know like 30% of their top line is like consulting. Keep buying IBM, maybe. Oh, the last one. Yeah, oh yeah, the IONQ, yeah. No, IBM is just a name. It means nothing. Here's the thing with IBM. My gut tells me this was an overreaction earlier this week. Like this feels like an overreaction. There's probably still some very high quality assets on its balance sheet. There's probably still some very, very cool things that the company can do in the future, particularly with the quantum space. But as far as between now and that point, there's a lot of fog between now and kind of that future vision of the company. They do stuff close to their chest. Interesting. SanDisk still good. Hard to say with SanDisk and Micron, to be honest. What do you think of Hims and Hers? They should be making money, but they're not. That's a little bit of a red flag, to be honest. I don't know why they're not. They've got an interesting business on their hands, and they should be making money, but for some reason, nothing's happening. Peptide Radar says I'm down on IONQ. I mean, that's that's the name of the game when you buy companies like this. But there's a lot of people who have had a bad day today. Please answer about VOO. What about it? Is VOO too pricey to buy? No, I don't think so. I mean, I think total like S&P, like the S&P 500 ETF at the moment. No, I don't think so. VOO, VTI, extremely solid ETFs, probably the highest quality out there. I think Vanguard's ETFs are the best, but thoughts on Netflix? We'll see. I know in about 10 minutes they're going to be announcing earnings. A little bit more than that, maybe. To be honest, they could miss. I think the consensus is 79 cents a share, I believe. I read somewhere. So we'll see. I've got news on their earnings pulled up right now. Yeah, Barron's is saying consensus of $12.5 billion in revenue, 79 cents per share. 12.57. Some are saying 12.59. Yeah. A 14% increase. Huh. Okay. I mean, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it closely. And here's the thing: when we have earnings announcements from companies like this, and their subsequent quarterly reports, it's a good, like, this is when you get the highest quality data because it's the most recent. So that's a really good time to go look at the fundamentals. How about MSTR? Please cover it. At MSTR, this no, this is a house of cards. This is a company whose foundation is built on quicksand. Absolutely not. No, their entire business model is contingent upon what the price of Bitcoin is. No way. Very bearish on these guys. Still pissed at WB with the Paramount instead of Netflix. Yeah, that was interesting. And to be honest, I think Larry Ellison had something to do with that. Yeah. Yeah, I think Larry Ellison's kid asked for his dad's help on making that deal happen. We'll see, though. I'm already in MSTR. I would get out. Horrible fundamentals. Ondis is cool. I mean, like the drone plays are always fun to watch. I'd like to see him nail down a big Pentagon contract, though. Is Netflix priced in? I don't know. I'm gonna say no, but that's not a very high conviction answer. Just because of, like, if Netflix really does have about 79 cents per share in earnings, that's solid. That's about where expectations are, though. So usually when expectations and reality meet, the market doesn't react that well. But who knows? We will see soon. That's right. We will. Do you like VOO and VTI over S&P? They're all safe, to be honest. They're all safe plays, in my view. Like I say, I like Vanguard funds a little bit more, but the thing is that they're all similar enough to where I think there's not a huge material difference between them. Do you think we should DCA? Dollar cost average what? Peptide Radar, which stock? Tesla, Miguel, no. I don't get into pharmaceuticals, and I don't get into automotive companies, and I don't like Tesla's valuation anyway. Nokia overvalued. I agree. What do I like? I like Take Two Interactive. I like a lot of the Mag 7 stuff right now. I think that their valuations are reasonable. Nvidia's at an interesting price point, to be honest. I'm also a fan of Reddit. I know Reddit kind of had a rough day today. I still like Reddit at this price, and I also like I'm bullish on Nike as well. There's things to like about all of them, in my view. Disney's an interesting one. Um, it feels cheap. But I know like it's Disney's in a weird spot. I know they fumbled pretty hard on streaming. Um, it feels pretty cheap though, if I'm being honest. And they have their old CEO back in the driver's seat, Bob Iger. I mean, he did a good job last time. This time around, I don't know. There's a lot of things to like about Disney. It could honestly be overlooked. It may not. I don't. It doesn't. I don't think it's a value trap at the moment. They have staying power like Nike. They do. Disney does have incredibly valuable IP. That's for sure. Do I like Keel, APX, ONS, MRAM, Rocket Lab, Oracle, IBM? I don't love any of those, but there are some I like more of those than others. Yeah. P Sky. Yeah, Paramount Skydance. Um, so obviously it's got a pretty inflated valuation just because of the fact that the Warner Brothers deal is under works. I think that's supposed to close by the end of 20 of this year. I haven't seen any news that there's big regulatory hurdles in the way. Um, and there's, I mean, look, will the company grow as a result? Absolutely. Will earnings improve as a result? Absolutely. Will the valuation go up too much? I think there's a high likelihood that it can. Um, I mean, let's actually look at their fundamentals seem okay. Yeah, I mean finding out what these costs are, because if you do 7.3 billion in revenue on a streaming platform, your overhead's probably eating away at that too much, and it's probably as a result of the fact that you haven't hit the point, you haven't hit break even revenue. And my guess is that's probably because the content on Paramount Skydance isn't as good. It's just not as good. That's why they're buying Warner Brothers. I mean, it makes sense from a business perspective. It absolutely makes sense. I mean, here's their outflows, 3.6 for cash commitments to make this deal go through. Um, yeah, we'll see. For new shareholders, it could be pretty good. There are things to like about it. Yeah, it's expensive though, and it's contingent upon the Warner Brothers deal going through. Sold my Disney and bought Warner Brothers the lowest, probably the luckiest trade I ever made. Nice, nice. Yeah, I know it's in court at the moment, still being worked out, and I still think the Department of Justice is still doing its antitrust review of it. Palantir has very strong fundamentals. It's just overhyped by the market at the moment. Too expensive. Yeah, take a look at Netflix. Yeah, their earnings are coming out very soon. We'll keep a look at Netflix until the news breaks on how they did. Will Marvel come back in August? It might. It might. And I know that TSMC has earnings today too, correct? I believe that's also the case. We're not going to look at anything. I'm keeping my eye on Netflix until the market closes here in just a second, and I want to see. I'm just going to hit refresh on what their earnings look like and see what the reaction is here. They're supposed to report after the bell. What's CNBC saying? Investors will be focused on engagement metrics in the streaming giants program, as well as further updates on the progress of its ad-supported tier. Yeah. And then there's also probably a lot of questions about, like, this is interesting, what management thinks about who they might buy, because Paramount, Skydance is buying Warner Brothers. 79 cents estimated EPS, 12.6 billion in revenue. Yeah, this is an interesting time for Netflix, because this is like a sort of like, all right, who are we going to be now in the future? Now that we've kind of been tested a bit, and there's a lot of people who are unsubscribing because of the price. How are we gonna move forward from this? Yeah, 40% in the past year. That's rough. It's brutal. Peacock in their portfolio would be great. That's an interesting thought. Interesting thought. Seems like we're getting good news so far on a Netflix earnings. I don't see anything yet. TSM, they reported already? Oh, my bad. It's a make or break. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, wow. Big swings. Very big swings. Hopefully my volume isn't screwed up and got the watch live open here. Oh, yeah, the live stream's got a paywall. Yeah, this is all over the place. Let's see. I got their investor relations page up. Taking a second here. Pulling up financials. Ooh. Oh, okay, they beat. Looks like they beat. I'm seeing 81 cents a share from the Excel file from their investor relations page. Yeah, it looks like they beat. Yeah, but not, and it was about in line with expectations. 12.559 in revenue, 12.559 billion in revenue. 3.4 billion in net income for Q2. Yeah, about 81 cents a share. Diluted, it's 80 cents a share. Yeah. Okay, so they're about in line with expectations at the moment. And then here's their letter to shareholders right here. Hang on, I'm going to pull up. Got to pull up the other page as well. One sec. Here's their letter to shareholders. That's probably hard to see. I'm not going to go through all that. I'll let you guys read that. It's pretty long. It's a long shareholder letter. So they probably are talking a lot about what their plans are. So I'll read it. This could be an interesting time for Netflix. I always thought that their valuation was interesting, and I always was a little bit surprised that like a month ago it didn't go up. It's been a rough year for Netflix, but an interesting time. Netflix is a steal at a 20 PE. I don't think it's quite that low, but it feels like it. It's a good valuation. Yeah, so not bad. Not bad results for Netflix. Yeah. And then after hours, it's just kind of, meh. It's doing all right. What website is it? This is just, this is Yahoo Finance. I'm Cassandra predicting the future will end up 1% after hours. There you go. Big Al says, nice, I own 500 shares. Hell yeah, Big Al. This is good news for you. Good news for you. Maybe pick up some more. They have a ton of potential. Investor sentiment is so bad this year because of AI. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Jawad has a good point. The ecosystem for Netflix is incredibly strong. They got a bit ambitious on price. Competition's kind of closing in on them. Like they're catching up. And then this. Like, this is so funny to me. But, we'll see another big rebound maybe. They slightly beat earnings, and then there's a 4. I mean, maybe this is people taking profits, who knows. But yeah, there's a lot of things to like about Netflix. I'm going to definitely read this shareholder letter and what their plans are for the future, because that's the key here is finding out, okay, in the advent of AI, in the advent of a really rough 2026, and basically being in line with earnings and subscriber numbers are dropping, the key is looking at engagement metrics and what their plans are to kind of turn that around. Losing the Warner Brothers Librarian production apparatus is a loss to them too. It was. I think that for Paramount, though, the stakes were higher. Paramount was more desperate to get the Warner Brothers deal under their books. That's why the price for Warner Brothers went up and up and up and up over time. That's why the bid went up, like it started like 15, it got over like $31 a share. It got insane back in, I think, May. But Warner Brothers Paramount was more desperate to get Warner Brothers on its books as opposed to Netflix. Netflix didn't need it as bad as Paramount, in my view. Should be holding steady. Yeah, and this is the funny thing. The market behavior so funny to me. Because you're coming in at 81 cents per share in earnings. The street expects 79, and you get beat up 4% because of it. They released their numbers yet? Yeah, it's 81 cents per share in earnings. Netflix going bankrupt. Come on, Will. We all know that's not going to happen. It's not true. At least not right now. So yeah, I got to read what management says in their letter. Haven't read that yet. Going to take a look at that. Going to take a look at what their plans are and see if that holds up with the bull thesis. To be honest, at 24 trailing 12-month PE, it feels like a good deal for Netflix, to be honest. But we'll see. They have a content problem. Revenues missed? Yeah. I think they did. I think is content a problem with Netflix, or is it price? To me, it feels more like a price issue as opposed to content, but we'll see. It's leadership. Could be. Content and algorithm, someone else says price. Yeah, I mean, I think price has a bigger factor to weigh than content. I mean, both have gotten worse over time with Netflix compared to a couple of years ago, to be honest. Like, content has gotten slightly worse. Price has gotten more expensive. I think people are more sensitive to price, though, as opposed to what they can watch on Netflix. Price is the issue. I agree. Many boycotted Netflix because of the Michael Jackson series. I didn't hear anything about that. People are mad about family sharing, too. I know the Netflix cracking down on that was also another thing. Man, 6%? What the hell? That's all right. It's probably guidance. The street probably doesn't like the guidance for them. Um, yeah, I'm kind of reading this and the shareholder letter and the chat at the same time. Yeah, getting beat up. We'll see. Markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. I don't think truer words have been said. Yeah, this is probably bad guidance from management on Netflix. That's not good. Will it improve? We'll see. I'm just kind of like glazing over what they said here in their report, talking about viewership numbers and that kind of stuff. Thoughts on BlackBerry, Nokia? Don't like either of them. Can we talk about Micron? We talked a lot about Micron today. Micron is scary position. Cash flow took a hit. Yeah, 1.53 in free cash flow versus 2.5 expected. They have this kind of funny spreadsheet that you could download straight from Investor Relations, which is kind of funny. There wasn't a huge fluctuation in their expenses. G&A came down quite a bit in Q2 though. 150 or $100 million less than Q1. Wow, it was pretty high in Q1. 600 million in SG&A. Or just G&A, not SG&A, my bad. They still have a good margin. I mean, like, yeah, this is tough. There's still things to like about him, but this is just probably bad guidance, and I'm like looking through this. Netflix and chill, yeah. Maybe Netflix and chill is a thing of the past. Nebius, don't like Nebius, Caden. I don't like Nebius, to be honest. No hype around the original series, I feel like. That might have fallen off, especially with... and I feel like that kind of started with Stranger Things, but who knows? I don't watch Netflix stuff all the time. They need to clean up their sports experience before they should ever be allowed to broadcast a game. That's a good point, Bryson. I did hear things that it was very laggy when they did have that. You sell Nebius now or wait a little? I would sell it. I don't like Nebius. Their valuation is too high. Way too much. SanDisk? SanDisk is... how did SanDisk finish the day? Yeah, pretty rough. I wasn't expecting this big of a correction, and I wasn't expecting it for Micron. I thought we were going to see support for SanDisk around 1550 and Micron around 890, but clearly that's not the case. This is a tough one to read, to be honest. This feels like a shift. It could be additional correction. This is tough for memory right now. And I mean, you can say the same thing for DRAM. You can say the same thing for honestly, for semiconductors too. Texas Capital gave it a buy rating. It could be. It could be. There's a lot of fluff and a lot of hype going on right now in memory, though. Do I like Oracle at this price? Yeah. I don't love it, to be honest. I don't love the fundamentals of Oracle. It's the opportunity cost of buying Oracle is high because you can buy better companies. I know Intel has gone down. What do you project for the future? More pain for Intel shareholders. Things are going to get much worse before they get better, in my view. Netflix management said they'll reduce the frequency of what we watched report to annually. That's bad. Because I know it was semi-annually, and now that's just once a year. That means they don't want as much information getting out. That's bad. Net cash from operating activities 1.7 versus 2 year in the prior year forward, or in the prior year period. Free cash flow in Q2 26 totaled $1.5 billion versus 2.38 in Q. Yeah, that's yeah. They're probably also being forced to amortize pretty heavily some of their older IP, which isn't great. Qualcomm, it's a solid company. I mean, the fundamentals are there for Qualcomm. I'd need to do a deep dive on them, but I think they're better than Broadcom. I think that um they have more to offer. One of the leaders in their space, arguably. I mean, they're right up there with AMAT and Lam. IREN and Micron dip buy opportunity. Micron maybe, IREN no. Opinion on rare earths. I go to the futures for rare earths. So like if I want to get exposure to gold and silver, I just look at futures contracts. Yeah, I mean, I don't like again with rare earth plays. I mean, unless it's like a very specific type of rare earth mineral that I'm not aware, like if it's cobalt or something like this, then yeah, maybe. But if I want to get into something, if I want exposure to silver, if I want exposure to copper or gold or something like this, I'd prefer actually just looking at the price of the commodity itself, and instead of putting a business in the way of that investment. Future opinion on SpaceX and the upcoming AI IPOs. SpaceX has a lot more room to correct, that's for sure. It's worth less than $100 a share, most definitely. AI IPOs are going to be very interesting. I know I think it's as far as Anthropic and OpenAI, I think Anthropic is going to beat them. I think it's 80%. Like Anthropic's going to come first. I'm like 80-20 on that. I'll definitely read the S1s. It'll be very interesting to see the S1s for both those guys. So we'll see. Nebius, but dip buying opportunity. No. Nope. No. Have we looked at Netflix? Yeah, we just did. We did. We looked at their earnings report. We looked at their announcement. Honestly, bad news. Pretty bad news. Bad guidance, it sounds like. So, yeah, I mean, they came right in line with expectations, but I guess the shareholder letter was ugly, and they did not have good answers to some questions, I guess. We'll see, though. I need to look and see what, again, I need to read the entire letter and maybe listen to the transcript, but it wasn't pretty. Opinions on energy companies, especially upstream operators. Prince, I need to be honest, I need to do more homework in that space. So I don't have I almost don't have one if I'm being completely honest. What stocks do I like going into this earnings season? Very interested to see Reddit's earnings, and I also like Take-Two Interactive. Very bullish on Take-Two Interactive. Then that's definitely not a secret. As far as companies that are gonna take a while to recover, I know Nike is. I know Nike had a good day today. They're probably going to sit somewhere in the 40s for a while, though, I'd imagine. My price target for them is about $57 a share. They've got the right people in place, and they're doing the right things to turn things around. So for me, honestly, it's basically like, can Nike reclaim its former glory? I think it can. It has the capability to do that. Marvel, too expensive. What will Bitcoin be by the end of 2026? No idea. Under 100,000. If you're a 20-year-old with 2K, what would you invest in right now? It doesn't have to be with one stock. Prince, it depends on your knowledge of the market. If you don't know much about investing or stocks, or how to read a balance sheet, or how to read a shareholder agreement, or how to do modeling work, valuation work, this kind of stuff, then probably an ETF, and probably something like VOO or VTI. Thoughts on Ondas? I'd love to see him get a Pentagon contract, but in the meantime, probably not that. Don't love the valuation. Credo or something else? What's that? What does that mean, Eric? I don't understand your question. What sector are you highest on for the remainder of the year? I'm thinking healthcare. I do like healthcare. I think healthcare's performing strongly, especially from a macro perspective. I think that's a good pick. I was so hopeful on Netflix, but I don't think they'll recover for the next few years. We'll see, Adam. We'll see. Not great news for Netflix today. Fast Retailing Co. Limited. So this was something that someone said is better than Nike. I think it was, who was it? Was that you, Xanadu? Intuitive Surgical also down bug after earnings. Oh, interesting. Okay. ISRG was on my short list. That looked like a really interesting one. Apparel designer in Japan internationally. What kind of brands do they own? J Brand, it's Tim. Huh. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll take a look at these guys. Uniqlo. Cool. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a stream here. Really appreciate everyone who joined. We went live for 3 hours today. I think this is a record for my longest stream. I'm kind of beat. Little mentally tired. Busy stream today. A lot of folks in here. Thank you so much, especially for your new guys. Thank you guys for showing up. Love having these discussions with you guys. Have lots of fun doing this. Even though it's like flying a fighter jet. Lots of fun. Love talking with y'all. Love exchanging investing ideas. I also love talking with people who disagree with me and who are knowledgeable about things that they disagree with me on. Those are interesting conversations. Love having those conversations. But I also love just, giving you guys my take, doing the analysis. Here's the one thing I will say. If I missed your request today, I apologize. Things went pretty quick today, so I'm sorry if I missed your request. And I also want to try and get you next time, so consider hitting the follow button because I'm going to be live tomorrow. I do go live every day during the week. And I do also publish more deep dive detailed answers on certain stocks. So if you don't like the answer that you saw today, or if you don't like some of the information that I gave, or he was like, hey, listen, Andrew, tell me more. Give me more information. I want to know more about what you think of this company. Go deeper into the details. That's on YouTube. Go on YouTube. Go watch the 30-minute deep dives on some of the companies that you guys are interested in. And that kind of stuff, because that's where I do fundamentals, filings, all that kind of stuff, valuations, technical analysis, all that kind of stuff. So go to the link in my bio. Go check out the YouTube channel if you guys want, and you'll find a lot more detailed answers there. In the meantime, I hope everyone has a great evening. Had a ton of fun talking with you guys. Make sure you don't forget to hit the follow button. I would also love, Sip, I see you spamming the comments. I'm going to get you tomorrow. We'll get it tomorrow. Spamming it's not going to make the answer come faster. Yeah. Also, go subscribe on YouTube as well. That'd be super cool. Anyway, y'all have a good one, and we'll talk tomorrow. We'll see you.